Meeting to order, please. It's that time, and I think that the official committee is first, so we'll turn it over to Mr. Bedoncha.
Okay, I'm ready to start. And with that, I am going to do pause and progress. Mr. Williams.
Hello, everybody. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes here just to talk about a new initiative that we are running at Northern Lehigh Middle School. So the initiative is called Pause and Progress, and it is a play on words with pause, but also the word pause. And you'll kind of see where that fits in. It's an initiative that we're running during our WIN period, and we started in a marking period 4 as a trial to kind of see how it would work out and see which ways that we could kind of shape it and take a look at what we could do with it moving forward into next school year. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see what the purpose of Pause and Progress is. So really what myself and the staff were looking at from the beginning of the year since I took over in my role as the principal of the building was a way that we could use our WIN period a little bit more effective and a little bit more targeted. And one of the things that was always in the back of my mind coming from the high school was, wouldn't it be great if we could get a situation where our students were experiencing something like lunch and learn over at the high school, but not quite as loose and independent because of the age of our students. And so what we were taking a look at is how could we set it up that we could provide those. And when I thought about what was happening at the high school, the gym was a big area. A quiet space was a big area. Socializing throughout the hallways was a big area. So how could we have those options for students, but then really get to what the main part is, which if we go to the next slide, that's where we'll start.
Before you go, I'd like to interrupt. What is WINS?
WIN is what we call what I need. So it's really what I need, yes.
Okay,
it's an advisory period that we have during our day.
Thank you.
Sure, yeah, sorry about that. So when we took a look at it, what we wanted to do is we wanted to come up with a model that kind of served as a bridge for our students to get from the middle school to the high school, but have an experience like Lunch and Learn. But the main purpose of it is to make sure that we really use that WIN time to provide targeted academic support. So the key was, how do we take our content area teachers and make them truly available? Why it wasn't happening during our current WIN period was because in our WIN structure right now, we've got 2 teachers in a room with about 25 students, and they may not always be the students that are their students that they're teaching at that current time. So the goal was, how do we get, for example, I'm a student who needs help in my math class. How do I get my math teacher available for me or a small group of students throughout the week so I can go there's not other students, and you can provide that targeted instruction? And that's where Pause and Progress came from. We can go to the next slide. So the key is the academic support. Students who are currently failing a course are identified for intervention, needing to make up missed work or assignments, or they may be requesting extra help. They're assigned to that direct teacher for support during that time. If you are a student who does not need that direct support, if you are a student who academically you're doing great, you don't need targeted support, behaviorally you're doing great, then you have access to those choice areas. And those choice areas are currently the gym, our cafeteria and our annex, and our library. The gym is where you go, you can get physical activity, and we actually, when the weather's nicer, we can open it up to our outdoor spaces as well, which really helps. So you get access to some physical activity. The library there's some of our students who during that time just want a quiet space. They want a place where they can go, they can read, they can relax, and it truly is a quiet space, and we made sure that we've identified it as that. And then the social areas are cafeteria and our annex, and that's where you can go and you can play some board games, you can socialize with friends, we can open up the courtyard, which is a great space for us to have during that time as well. And so those are our 3 areas. What we're looking to do is actually expand that, and we're looking to expand it into choices for art and also music. So I've talked with Mrs. Frank and I've talked with Mr. Hedges about, hey, can we open up your areas for students who want to go in and they want to work within the arts? I talked to Mr. Hedges about this could be a great way for you to informally try to build your program and just getting students, you know, maybe I'm somebody who plays an instrument, but I'm not in the band, and I've played, but I haven't really formally gotten involved. You might catch some of those students. So we're looking at expanding it in that way as well. The key that I think here, though, is when we talk about our building and the middle school, it's highly structured. And so it's not going to be a situation where you would walk through our hallways during that time and you would see students out in the hallway. It's not a situation where you would move throughout the building and there would be students kind of spread all over. We believe that this truly is a bridge to that lunch and learn model when they go from 8th grade to 9th grade. It's a lot more structured, but it's going to give them kind of a taste of, hey, when I need that extra intervention, I know I've got to go to that teacher. But when I don't, here are the areas that I can kind of venture out into, and I think that's going to be a really great way for them to get exposure to it. But at our grade level and our age level, we think the structure is going to be key. We could go to the next slide. And so how this really works to get our teachers available is we have structured it right now on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I've divvied up the content areas because whenever you have choice areas, you also need supervision. So for example, on a Wednesday, ELA, science, Spanish, art, they're available in their classrooms. Students who are scheduled with them are going to go directly to them. The other content area teachers are going to be supervising the choice areas. On a Friday, it would be a different mix of the content areas. So now we're taking a look at math, and we'll have social studies, and we'll have art available and FCS available. They're now available, and then students who are scheduled will be able to go to them, and then the other group of teachers are going to be supervising the choice areas. So we've structured it that way so that at least once a week, we can make sure that those content area teachers are available for direct intervention and support with those students. We are also setting it up that teachers are identifying those students who need that academic support. So we've got a shared spreadsheet that, and teachers have their own individual sheets that feed into one large sheet. So if I'm the science teacher and I know that student was absent and they didn't complete an assignment and they need to come and see me, I go in, I schedule them, it pops right up on our main sheet. And then we have a list of students who are already pre-scheduled that are going to meet with those teachers on that day. The other students who aren't scheduled, they get their choice. So that's going to happen about 1 to 2 days before that pause in progress period. And they'll say, we're going to the gym, we're going to go to the annex, we're going to go to the library. They pick those choices and then they're all scheduled in. The pause part kind of comes when they go into their win period, everybody pauses and everybody knows, okay, this is where we're going today. You've got to go here, you've got to go here, you've got to go here, you're signed up here for the gym, and then we all go to our areas. And then we're able to take the rest of that period and provide that direct academic support, and then students who've earned it get the choice areas. And then we can go to the next slide there. And so really what we're looking to do is take this initiative because it started off so positively at the middle school. We've been doing it now for about 3 weeks. We took a little bit of a break during PSSAs. We're to the point where we're discussing how can we expand it. Some of the feedback that I've gotten from our staff has been it's some of the most meaningful time I've had with my students all year long, where I can truly get with them. Maybe there's 5, 6 of them that I can work directly with. And the students are talking about the fact that they've really never had something where they get to go and have this time during the day. So we're taking a look at how do we expand it for next year, how do we fit it within the schedule. I do need to leave a day at least for some of my team time during that win period, but I think we could get to a model where we have 4 days a week that we're running pause and progress, and students are really getting close to that lunch and learn type model that they'll transition to when they get over to the high school. So you see, some of the important things that we have to focus on here as we move forward with it, staff feedback, and I have to say this as I finish here. None of these initiatives that we try to run in our buildings happen if you don't have a staff that's willing to support it, that buys into it, and they see value in it. And I'm very fortunate that our staff at the middle school has been part of this, and they have bought into it, they see the value in it, so they're constantly offering up ideas. They're constantly talking about what could we do differently during this time, or what could we add to it during this time. And so the feedback has been very, very positive to this point in time. And what I'm anxious to see is what does this do for our academics for some of our students who need that targeted support? And, you know, so hopefully, you know, through marking period 4, we'll get to see how that had an impact. So that's our initiative called Pause and Progress that we are starting at the middle school. If there's any questions or feedback from anybody, I'll certainly take it.
How long is the period for that?
It's 40 minutes.
And where are the teachers coming from?
So it's all the teachers that we have on staff. But the way in which we have the coverage is we separate it by content area. So on a day that you are supervising a choice area, you wouldn't be available in the classroom. But then on the flip side of that, we rotate and a new set of content area teachers then are open in their classroom when they're not supervising the choice areas. So we strategically set it up so that specific content areas are open to the students once a week. So throughout the week, they will have access to every content area at least once.
So it's not extra load?
No. No, it's a time that we already have built in the day and that our teaching staff is already with students at that time.
Thank you.
Just a group of students and probably not all getting their needs met.
It's a larger group, but it doesn't give you that small
Right.
one-on-one
I
time.
like that. I like this concept. I think it's great. I think it's great to transition into high school, like you're saying. It's helping them to learn responsibility and time management, things like that. As long as they're utilizing that time constructively and not just, you know, sitting on cell phones and stuff. And, you know, that's my only concern.
So there are no cell phones available to students during this time. That was a very important decision that we made. This was not going to be a time that, even in the social areas, hey, let's socialize with our friends. Let's sit down, let's talk. Let's play a board game together. Let's go out. So yeah, there are no cell phones available during this time.
I just have one question about the standard course of the day as far as when the teachers are actually teaching. Is there any dedicated time that they can have with a single student during that period, if you will, that they're there?
Yeah, I mean, any of your best practices with differentiation and how you structure your lesson every day, you should be able to get dedicated one-on-one time with a student. For example, you know, if I'm breaking students off into groups after maybe I've introduced the concept and went through it, I can certainly take that time, but it's not necessarily going to happen every lesson, every day, depending on how you're structuring that lesson. So this just gives that extra support that they can follow back up on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great. Welcome to the stage.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, then we should move on to text purchases at the high school by Mr. Proctor.
Sure. So the two texts that I have on here, and I put this in the update over the past couple of weeks. One of them, the AP chemistry text, is a result of us now adopting the new AP chemistry course, which I'm happy to see we already have 9 students enrolled in, which is pretty good for an AP course, especially in the first year of running it. So that text is called Biozone Chemistry Explained. I do have it linked in there, yes. So it's a text with a digital platform and component. The text is consumable. So what I'm looking to do is purchase 30 of those, which I believe would run over the course of 3 full sessions of that course. Before we would have to look at that again. We're looking at running AP chemistry every other year, so that could be as much as 6 years before we're looking at replacing these again. Yeah, they don't provide quotes and invoices per se with this particular program. We found that with some programs, usually digital ones. We actually had to purchase it with the district credit card, so I provided in here just an image of the cart, of the item cart for this particular course. I do realize next year is our science review in terms of our curriculum cycle. Again, this is here because we adopted a new course and we provide a text for that course. Within this year's review of the cycle, which included math, as you know, with our recent K through 6 purchase, we also looked at the high school at our statistics course and identified a need. The statistics text, which is the same text, it's Pearson Elementary Statistics, is 20 years old. And so besides falling apart, the data sets within it are pretty irrelevant and outdated. So we're looking to make a purchase for that. This is a class set of those texts. We typically run a section at a time, and it's usually around 25 students. So this is for 30 for elementary statistics. Both of these texts, I'm putting them on here in April because we want to make the purchase immediately at the turn of the budgetary year. But we would need to get it approved, obviously, prior to July 1 in order to be able to make those purchases. And they are both planned in the 26-27 curriculum instruction budget right now.
2 questions. They're all ebooks?
No,
They're
so
hard copy?
hard copy, yes. So there's digital
You said
supports.
digital, so I was.
Correct. Oh yeah. So the BioZone is a consumable hard copy. So again, that would be disposed every single year. The
Oh, so
students would take it
workbook.
with them. It's essentially in a workbook format. And then the Pearson Elementary Statistics is a hardcover book that also comes with the digital component for the teacher, but they are hardcover.
And the statistic one, when you put the price up, it showed 10 something per month.
I'm trying to think where you're. Oh, no.
On the
That's,
right- on the right side.
Sorry, that's just the website for it's a college level text. So the students can rent them. The second, who has this? So if you click on the quote, I can show you the quote actually. Yeah, so here's the actual quote where we'd be purchasing 30 of them.
Okay, I bought textbooks for you.
No. On the other website, it also has options there for college rentals and things like that. We're actually buying the hardcover text to keep in the classroom.
And is there a workbook that comes with the statistics one too?
There's not, this is just the text. Yeah.
Oh, no, well, books are heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you send it in the mail for class, it's cheaper for books.
Yeah, we've been through that before, actually. We even, so larger purchases, they looked at like other alternatives in terms of, their shipping companies and things like that. For a smaller one like that. Drive to the warehouse, pick it up, throw them in the back of my Honda, yeah. So I guess what I'm looking for right now is just with us moving this forward for the board agenda on Monday for consideration.
You mentioned there's 9 people enrolled in the BioZone one. You anticipate more enrollment in that there, right? Do you guys seek out students who should take something like this?
We do, yeah. But generally speaking, with AP courses, 9's not a bad enrollment number historically, and in my experience across districts. Now, I will say that we certainly have AP courses where there's double digits, where there's near 20 students. So yes, we would hope that's the case. But I will say that we were pretty happy to see 9 on our first run of the course, and all of that sort of sight unseen. But yeah, no, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, any Canadian entering into the health, field would consider something like that, and, hopefully the guidance counselors are encouraging that.
Yeah, and we actually already have seen a pretty significant impact in the decisions students are making based on the pathways model. So again, we could continue to see that play a role as well.
Scott, the only concern I had is you mentioned that you're going to be revamping the science curriculum. Is that what you said?
Well, so next year in the curriculum cycle, science is up for review.
Would
So
that affect this particular book?
no, so to be honest, like by and large, the high school courses are all sort of these generally fairly isolated in the way that we do like curriculum review. So like AP chemistry, it has an impact what's in chemistry, right? In chemistry too, but it's not sort of part of those like larger reviews of curriculum and things like that. Which is why the statistics course, is kind of it's a singleton right now in terms of a math purchase. As we looked at math, we looked at that in the high school and identified statistics was an area that we definitely needed to make it up.
I was just concerned about 30 versus 9, and if something would change, that was all.
No, we don't anticipate.
Okay.
I guess I'm the wrong guy to try and talk about curriculum. That's certainly not my strong suit. And I understand you want to expand courses, et cetera, for the students. I'm well in favor of that, and I certainly will support this motion. But at the same time, I guess I'm asking, I'm sure you've seen that L-Tri-C has gotten that $1 million dual enrollment grant, and I'm wondering, here's like free college. Are we working that into our curriculum? Are we talking about that? I don't know what's better, an AP chemistry or an actual college chemistry course that you could, you know, I don't know. Are we using these things? Are we taking advantage of it? To me, it's a fantastic opportunity, you know, so.
So, yeah.
Yep, so we are. I think we have a very good partnership with L-Tri-C as well as other post-secondary institutions, and we really do push our students towards dual enrollment. I think we probably have more kids taking dual enrollment than ever before. So
It's
yes.
free.
Yep, yeah,
You know, I
absolutely.
mean, I understand going to other
Yeah.
schools, but maybe this is pushing it a little bit, but this is our, L-Tri-C is our college. We own that school as taxpayers in this district, a small part of it. And I guess if we can get a free education there and help maybe push down our numbers, our taxes, even a smidgen, you know, are we encouraging that instead of saying, oh, go to this college or that college or whatever?
Yep.
And I'm not knocking any other colleges, I'm just looking at it from a very practical point of view.
So
Yeah, we-
I would just add to that, like Dr. Stoker said, we do work very closely with the folks at L-Tri-C, to the point where sometimes when other districts don't use all their available seats, we try to take them at the same rate. For full transparency though, I will say that it's not exactly always free. We will pay for students, they will have to pay up front and earn a certain grade, but then we do pay. We budget about, I think, $20,000 to $25,000 a year for that. But the opportunity that it affords those students, it's as good as them attending, quite honestly, a Kutztown, a Penn State, even some of those courses, then they can carry those credits right into some of the private higher education institutions as well. It's a phenomenal arrangement.
Yeah, there's, you know, arrangements, I don't know how many colleges where, you know, you can transfer your courses. I mean, we've had people graduate from Harvard, you know, so, that transfer courses, so. I think it's a great opportunity. If it's not totally free, it's gotta be pretty cheap, so, I'm just hoping you can integrate that into your question, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we do, and I think we've been expanding that more and more year over year. I think that also AP courses offer an alternative, just because there are other barriers sometimes associated with going to the community college, fulfilling other credits and things like that. But no, I think we are continually expanding this.
This might be out of the box, but is there a way to see what our dual enrollment numbers were maybe 5 years ago and kind of give a progression of how much it's building up? I would like to see that, because I talked to, you know, students who have graduated a couple years ago, and they say, oh, I wish I would have been offered this opportunity, I wish I would have, you know, this. And I said, they're working on it, you know. So I'd like to see how we're progressing that way, if that's possible. I mean, even the community might want to see something like that.
We can absolutely do that. We can go back a couple years maybe. I'll look to Dr. Bali. We probably can go back a couple years and pull our dual enrollment numbers and see like our AP courses. The AP we report on every year as part of that data presentation, but dual enrollment we can certainly go back and pull.
Okay, thank you.
Did you get what you needed?
Oh, are we okay with me moving these two texts forward for adoption?
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That it?
That's it.
Okay, then I will move to adjourn, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Feedback.
I will go ahead and open up the policy meeting and turn it over to Dr. Stoker for review.
Thank you. This evening we have several policies on our policy committee agenda. I've tried to group them into changes that kind of fall under the same category. So the first one that we had was charter schools, policy 140, and transportation policy 810. Both of these were updated to include transportation as it relates to charter schools, which essentially says that we have to provide transportation, but it doesn't have to be the same transportation we provide to our students. For instance, if we put our students on a bus, we can put them on a van. So those are the updates that are regarding policy 140 and 810. Any questions on that?
Is there a limit, the distance?
Yes, there's still a distance
Okay.
limit, so it'd be 10 miles from our borders.
I will just share that recently there's been some increased discussion at the legislative levels to reduce that number from 10 miles to 5 miles.
which for some districts can be a tremendous savings. But at this point, it's simply just discussion.
Any other questions on those two policies?
Okay, so they can go on.
Yes, if we can move policy 140 and 810 to the school board meeting on Monday night for first reading. Okay, thank you. Next, I'll group these together as well as policy 221, which is dress and grooming for students, and policy 325, which is dress and grooming for employees. Specifically, the pieces that were added to this come from the Crown Act, and it's protective hairstyles, and if there are religious creeds, specific head coverings. So we can't discriminate against certain hairstyles or particular head coverings based on different races, nationalities, religions. So that carries into both policy 221 and 325. Any questions on those?
All good to move by board members here?
Okay, thank you. Next up is policy 236.1, which is threat assessment. This policy is essentially updated for timely consultation between our threat assessment teams and then law enforcement. So it's been updated to include the new information that says that has to happen in a timely manner. And that was the only update to that policy. I'll look to, I know Chief Jones isn't here, but Mrs. Dada also co-heads our threat assessment, if there's anything else you want to add to that. Okay. Any questions on that? We have the ability to move that one forward for Monday evening. Sure. For a first reading. Yes. Okay. The next one is working periods. So this is policy 332. This is a very minor update just to add language that it refers to state law. And then on the backside or on page 2, just that it's at the discretion of building principal or immediate supervisor. It just reworded kind of the title of the supervisor or the administrator. So again, it's just a minor update adding language that there's a reference to the law in there. Any questions on 332? Do we have the ability to move that one forward for a first reading? Okay, thank you. Next is policy 619. This is district audit. So historically, Pennsylvania Auditor General's Office conducted periodic audits of school district finances on behalf of PDE. Now, since 2022, the Auditor General announced that the office would no longer be conducting those district audits on behalf of PDE, and the responsibility was turned back to the Pennsylvania Department of Education. They're still formulating what that's going to look like. So this policy was essentially updated to reflect that it's going back to PDE. Any questions on that?
Does that mean the state is not doing any kind of auditing at this point? It's strictly the Gorman audit that we're doing, or?
So they're still auditing. I'll turn it over to Sherry if you want to
We have
address
not
it.
seen the state auditor in years.
I'm just wondering. I
Tell you
hear
that.
But
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
they're getting paid, but they just don't show up.
Yeah, it's been probably a good 5 or 6 years that we've seen the
That's
state
okay.
auditor in the
But
office.
theoretically, they are, but they are.
So it was PDE, and they sent it to the general auditor's office, and now it's going back to PDE.
So the Auditor General's office did it on behalf of PDE, and now it's going back to PDE, or it's been back to PDE since 2022.
Oh,
So this is just reflecting that change that is going back to them.
And I will share that annually, we still have our local audit conducted. We have to have our local audit.
Yeah, we get a copy of that. Yep.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, do we have the ability to move that one forward for first reading for Monday night?
Yes.
All right, the last thing that we have up here is every year around this time, May, June-ish, we go through our bullying prevention plan, and each of our building principals updates this with respect to what they have actually happening in their building. So if we have a program that maybe we're no longer using, we get rid of that, and if we have something that's new, then we add that in. So we'll just kind of go right down the line very quickly and just talk about each building and what has been added as new. So I'll turn things over to Mr. Schneiderite for the first one.
Thank you, Dr. Schuker. We've got a lot of initiatives that go on through our building to teach expectations and reinforce those through our school-wide positive behavior support program. Some new things that we're doing this year, our new counselor, Ms. Ledestri, who was hired back in October, has really done a fantastic job being so proactive with our students. She has now developed a schedule where she's pushing into classes every week, teaching social skills, as well as working in small groups with students on very defined areas to support them. So I wanted to note that, as a proactive measure we're taking, not just in a response to something. And we do, and something that we've done all throughout, however, I didn't highlight it in previous years, part of our school-wide positive behavior support framework is that at the beginning and the middle of the year, we have big school assemblies to really focus on the explicit teaching of those general expectations. Thought it would be notable to include that here, as that is not just what we do on a daily basis, but sort of the big picture programming we also do beginning of the year, typically in September, and then on return, we call it the refresher assembly, just to make sure they remember it after all those holidays and all that turkey. So when we return in January, we also do a big school-wide assembly, so I wanted to include that in our anti-bullying program. Thank you, Dr. Stoker.
Thank you, Mr. Schneiderite. We'll go to Slatington, Mr. Reiner.
Okay, at Slatington, good evening, everyone. At Slatington, the only real change is not really a change at all. It's just clarifying when the bullying prevention kind of curriculum is being taught, and it's being taught in kind of the tier 1 setting. So, not kind of, it is being taught in the tier 1 setting. So, just clarifying that that little bit of language there, but everything else is status quo.
What's the tier 1 setting?
So the tier 1 setting is basically the setting that everybody is getting that instruction in the regular education classroom.
Middle school.
Yeah, so at the middle school, we do have two things that are involved here that are different, that have not happened before. The first one, which I'm really excited about, is we have a new program called Ripple Effects. Ripple Effects is a program that our students can access and be assigned different modules and reflection pieces based around behavior. And a key component of that is bullying behavior. I mean, there's actually 400 different topics that are involved, but bullying, cyberbullying, things like that are topics that are prevalent within the program. And so if we have instances of that, it's another way that we can use that to reteach replacement behaviors and ensure that students reflect on the behavior and think about it. It's really also a layer that is not just, now we've got some discipline, okay, move on with life. It really is, think about it. There's even pieces in there where it's real life people who reflect back on what they did when they were in school and some of the issues that they had that are around those topics. So that's a really great program that all of our students have access to, and we as staff can assign to them. And then the other thing is, this year we introduced class meetings. And so every Tuesday I meet with both classes during our goal team period. So goal team period is a 30-minute period that offsets lunch. And I take time to talk about different topics. Sometimes it's informational, but a lot of times it's reinforcing things that are happening in the building. And I would say that probably 90% of my meetings talk in some way, shape, or form about our expectations of how we treat each other, bullying, the way in which we want to show who we are as Bulldogs. It's my message every single meeting. So those are the two things that are different there, and it's given some great time with the students.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Dr. Bali?
Okay, and at the high school, we're pretty much our school-wide, we shifted to the bold expectations, which has been, I think, really has made a tremendous impact on our kids and the ability to remember those and really talk about what that means. Being respectful, owning our actions, leading with integrity, and demonstrating excellence in everything we do. And I feel like for years, when I first got there, we weren't sure what our acronym was, and we really weren't sure, of course we weaved in the essential skills and we try and demonstrate those, and even in our teachers' lesson plans and things like that. But really, what does it mean to be a Bulldog at Northern Lehigh High School? And the kids really crafted this, and really, I can say, we work hard to focus on that daily, and we talk about it on the announcements every day. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? We recognize kids when they're exhibiting this behavior, and Mrs. Delgado just pulled, about 20 kids who were nominated for exhibiting these behaviors down on April 30th at the end of the month. And we give them shirts and we give them bracelets, but we also tell them exactly why they're there. We tell them who nominated them and why. And normally it's a staff member. Soon we're going to try to open it to kids nominating each other. We feel like that's the next step. But similar to what Mr. Schneider had said, we also found that even though they're older children, they benefit very much from repetition and practice. And so, we have a school-wide team, and it's not just a beginning of the year thing where we visit this and we play games and, a lot of the things that the elementary kids do, but stuff that high school kids like. But then at the end of the semester, we come back together as a group, as a family, and we say, okay, now you're going into new courses this semester. We're going to talk about what bold behavior looks like, and we do it again. So, we really try to be strategic. Similar to elementary, that we need to consistently refer back to and talk about this and practice it. So we do the beginning and mid-year assemblies, intermixed with the times when we're recognizing kids for doing great things. And we've tried to really increase that more instead of focusing on the kids that aren't doing, making the best choices. But these are kids that do it consistently all the time, and we want to make a big deal of that. So that was something that we've really focused on this year.
Thank you, Dr. Wiley.
Yes.
So this does not need to go to Monday night. This is a plan or an initiative that we update annually just to reflect the programs that we have that are anti-bullying programs in the district. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hill, but this gets uploaded every summer, but last year's plan gets updated every summer. So moving into next year, this will be our plan, and then it eventually gets shared with the state through Mr. Hill's uploads.
You want us to approve it, just to be on this, you don't have to?
You don't have to, no.
Okay.
We do have a bullying prevention policy as well. That's what gets into the board level. It's just a component that just dives in a little deeper.
Okay.
That's all we have.
Any other questions for policy this evening? All right, I'll go ahead and close policy and turn it over to Mr. Weber for technology.
Oh, okay. All right. What, I missed it? All right. I'd like to open our meeting and turn it over to Eric.
All right, thank you, Mr. Weber. Good evening, everybody. What I have on the agenda tonight is discussing our yearly Chromebook projector purchase, and then the lease, which is how we typically pay for that purchase. This is something that we typically do every year. What this is for the Chromebooks for kindergarten through 8th grade. What we do is historically we purchase Chromebooks for kindergarten, and then we also purchase a new set of Chromebooks for 5th grade, and then they follow through for those next years. And then we also purchase projectors to keep our classrooms up to date with the latest technology. One of the things you'll see this year is one of the issues I had it in the board update. We're seeing a lot of price volatility, a lot of price increases actually. We're not seeing much going down, it's all going up due to there were a lot of RAM shortages this year. And I did include a couple articles in the board update. Hopefully you got to read that, but just to summarize, with a lot of the AI data centers that are going in, a lot of the RAM manufacturers have already sold out all of their inventory for the entire year. So 2 of the 3 major manufacturers already have all their inventory gone for the year. Likewise, Western Digital, who makes like SSD drives, They already posted early in the year in March that they were sold out for the entire year. So just the demand for the electronics right now is just really great. So what we're seeing is, so I'm going to give you some prices here, but just so you know that at this point, a lot of times when I'm giving prices to vendors, they're only holding these prices for 1 to 2 weeks max. I used to be able to get quotes and they would be good for a month and then they'd refresh, they'd be the same price for the next month. Currently, prices are increasing on a weekly, sometimes every 2 weeks, prices are increasing. So just keep in mind that I'm going to give you some numbers, but we're going to have to adjust these numbers possibly going into the meeting next week. So for the Chromebooks, we're looking to purchase 165 Chromebooks for kindergarten, Peters Elementary. Those would be touch screen Chromebooks. That's what we got last year. Also another 165 Chromebooks for 5th grade. And the quotes that I got, also accessories there as well. So that would include the we have to buy a license for the Chrome devices so we can put them into our Chrome administrative portal. We also would buy new cases. We always buy new cases for the Chromebooks every year, so the new Chromebooks have new cases to go with them. And we're also looking to buy a few accessories this year. We're looking to buy a few keyboards and mice because we haven't bought those in quite a few years, and sometimes teachers have them on their desks and they do go bad. So our stock's running low on those. So we're only like 25 of those. And we're also looking to buy, we have docks that all the teachers use, administrators use, that connects your laptop to like a monitor, your keyboard and all your peripherals. We've had some failures on those, but we haven't bought those really since I think 2020, 2021. So we're looking to buy a few of those, just to give you an idea what the order is for. Again, I'll provide a detailed quote when we get in the board update this week as we get better numbers. So anyway, these are the quotes that came back for the Chromebooks. GDC was at 131,000, Integra was at 127,400, and CDWG was at 116,000. Now, there is a caveat there. CDWG was lower, but the reason they're lower is there's still one of their Chromebooks that they have in stock is one that we purchased, and they happen to have stock that they had purchased ahead of time, and they're still giving us those old prices on that. He did say that we would be pushing it. We wouldn't be able to place the order, obviously, until we get the lease approved on the board meeting. So he did say that they may or may not have stock when we order it. So I may have to refresh that. So I'm hoping that those are still in stock. If those run out of stock, we're probably going to be closer to the 127 mark. You know, if we, I would estimate it could add up to $15,000, $16,000 onto that quote, should we not get those. So that was the quotes for the projector. I'm sorry, for the Chromebooks and accessories. For the projectors, what we're looking to do this year with projectors is we're only looking for 12 projectors. That would be for Peters Elementary. Last year we did approximately 50% of the building, maybe a little more. So we only need 12 more to complete Peters Elementary. In the past, we've ordered anywhere from 15 to 20 projectors, so we're actually a little on the lower side this year. And again, those are the quotes that we received for the projectors. CDW again was the lowest one, and Integra and GWC were very close. But just to give you an idea on the projectors, GDC, we was talking numbers with him about a month ago, and his numbers were probably about $5,000 lower just a month ago, and they've gone up that much in a month. So that's where we are for the projectors. So.
How do you determine the number of Chromebooks?
What we do is, we try to look at the class sizes, and it's hard with kindergarten, but what we do is we typically purchase enough for the class, and we estimate about 5%. We try to bump it up about 5% per year for failures, for damage, things like that. Plus, some of these Chromebooks too end up going out to like our paraprofessionals use Chromebooks now. We use them for other programs, like summer programs. We usually put like Chromebooks together for that. So they get used in other areas as well. But that's typically what we do is our number is about 5% per year is what we try to add on to the class sizes to get a rough idea. So usually that's around 160 to 170 we typically order. So we're looking about 165 for these classes. But kindergarten, of course, is hard to tell because we never know. But yeah, that's a good question, but that's what we do.
How's the prices compare to last year at this time?
Last year, the Chromebooks themselves are up about $100 almost. from where they were last year. Last year, they were probably about 225 or so. This year, we're seeing them around 325 in 1 year. Projectors, last year, they were about $14.25 per projector. This year, they're about $300 more. They're up to like 17. And actually, some of the quotes I just received, they were even over $2,000. So you're looking at about, yeah. So they increased a lot. The projectors went up a lot as well. So, but good thing this year our numbers are actually down what we really need this year. So that's kind of helping us out a bit. So, and of course what I'll do is I plan on the end of this week, towards the end of the week, I'm gonna have them refresh these quotes and see where we're at with the numbers, and then I'll provide an update. But that's what I have as of today. So, and of course we'll purchase from the lowest vendor. You know, that's what we typically do. And as far as how we pay for this, usually what we do is we have a lease included in our technology budget. And what we had done in the past, it's typically a $150,000 lease, and it's like a $50,000 payment per year. Even before this year, we were talking budget, we had already talked about increasing that slightly, and that's what was in the budget presentations that you had been seeing. We actually had an increase in that with the budget presentation that you're seeing. And we went out and got lease rates from, actually reached out to 4 different vendors. CalFirst is a company that we used in the past. They no longer do leases unless it's $500,000 or above, so they didn't even bid on our, they didn't even give us a lease quote. And then there was HPE, Hewlett-Packard, they gave us a lease. It was a little higher than this one, but American Capital, which is a company we used in the past, we used them a few years ago. They gave us the best lease rate factor, which was 0.34996144. And the other company that we used last year was American First. They were right in that same, they were just above like a 0.351 is what theirs was. So they were actually very close. It's literally a couple $100 either way over a 3-year loan. It really wasn't that much of a difference. So I would suggest that we use American Capital. And since prices might change, if you look at the numbers up there, I'm estimating we're going to need $150,000 to about $165,000 lease in order to complete the order that we would need. So that's what I would suggest, is that we typically what we do is we put a board agenda item on there. And what I would suggest that we do is, since I don't know that exact number until later in the week, I would know what that number is. I would suggest that we use a not to exceed limit, like say, instead of saying we're going to do $160,000 lease, let's just say let's not to exceed $165,000. Whatever they come in, that's what we'll have a not to exceed limit, and we should be within that limit. So, does anybody have any questions about that?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you recall what we had purchased last year for, replenishing?
It was, last year we purchased 170 Chromebooks. For the 2 grade levels, it was 340 last year.
Can you explain to me how come we have to keep every year buying so many? Like, shouldn't there be a turnover?
Well, there is a turnover, but what it is what we do is kindergarten keeps them. So they'll keep them typically 5 years, actually. They keep them kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and then 4th grade. So they actually keep them for 5 years. And then in 5th grade, they get another one. Likewise, in 5th grade keeps them, 5th grade gets them, and they go up to 8th grade, so they keep them for 4 years. Okay.
And then we have our graduates, though. What happens?
Well, then what we do is we have a second, this is just for the K to 8, and then what we do is we have a second lease that we do. When I first started here, we did is we purchased all the 1-to-1 at the high school at one time. So we don't have them on the same cycle. So they get every 4 years, that gets a whole refresh. The entire high school gets a new one. So that's on a different lease cycle than the other buildings. So yeah, so essentially that's what we're doing. So we're only doing, on this lease, is 2 grade levels. And then they keep them, and that's how we cycle them in. So, yep. That make sense?
Yep.
Can you buy them on the way home tonight, so the prices don't go up? I guess I have a concern with that. You said not to exceed 165. I would hate to see it be 166. Now you can't do it. Now we go back, a month later, and now it's 186. Are you comfortable with that's a good enough number to cover you?
Based on the numbers, yes, I'm comfortable that we can Yeah, I mean, we could go slightly higher. I mean, I'm gonna go with what I told you I'm gonna buy. I'm not gonna add anything in there, so, we could put that not to exceed slightly higher, and
I would
I'm
just
pretty
see
sure it's gonna
not
come in under
see
that.
it after the event.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
We trench the whole thing and get a higher price, that's,
I mean, originally what we had in the budget was for 177,000 lease, because we were talking about putting it up around $10,000 for the payment. But we actually came in under that based on the numbers, because was preparing for that during budget talks, because I knew we were having rain, I was kind of hoping it wasn't going up this high, but it did. So we did have what we had worked in the budget was an extra $10,000, which if you figured it out, it comes out to about a $177,000 lease. So if you're comfortable with that, I can put a higher number in there.
That's just my feeling, I don't know what the other number feels like, but I just hate to see it get caught, short-handed.
So we'll have, so this won't actually appear on the agenda until Friday evening when it gets posted. And you should have a refresh of the quotes by then.
Yep.
We could adjust it on Friday, right? Because the quotes that you get on Friday should get us through Monday night.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
So we could adjust it when we send out the board packet on Friday up to whatever it may be, and then Mr. Hill could address that in the Friday update. Is that, so that way we have, then we're talking about 72 hours instead of, a week plus.
Rather than go that route.
Okay.
I mean, we need them, I mean, there's not a question.
Right. Yeah, it's something we purchased because we don't wanna skip a year, because then you start getting in that mode where then you get behind and then you have old devices in the cycle, so that's why we try to keep a decent refresh cycle, so we definitely do not wanna skip out on a year if possible, so, yeah.
When you check with the bids with the different companies, do you check for durability too?
What's that?
Do you check for durability with each of the different companies when you check for?
Yeah, these are all the same devices, HP, so these are actually the same, they're the same devices, just from different vendors.
Okay.
And why some vendors can give you sometimes different prices, or sometimes they have like a small stock on hand that they might have gotten at a better price. They might have bought them, a few months ago. Some vendors have stock, some don't. And that's really the difference maker a lot of times.
It includes shipping?
Yes, yeah, includes shipping as well. Yep. And the lease company too, I talked to the lease company, and this lease would not start until, because this is for the next school year, so this would come out of my 2026, 2027 budget. And I talked to the lease vendor, and they are okay with, we can order the shipment, and the way the cycle works, it works out now that we will not be paying our first lease payment until that 2026-27 till July. So that'll fall within that 2026-2027 budget. That's one of the things I had to be careful with too, because you can't order them too early because of the way the year works, because our new year starts, our fiscal year starts obviously July 1st, 2026. So you have to be careful with that. And the lease vendors were okay with that we could get everything ordered, get it in, and then the lease would start on July 2026.
So does the warranty come through HP?
Yes.
And not the vendor?
Yes, the warranty comes from
same?
HP,
Okay.
yes.
I know, I really appreciate, I've seen how our tech people here really make these Chromebooks last by.
Yeah, we try to stick with
Frankenstein.
HP too, because we've had pretty good success with HP and then also we do pull parts from the old ones, and a lot of the old parts, even from 5-6 years ago, are still compatible. Like a lot of the LCDs we can use. Every now and then they change something, but a lot of times we have a stock of these parts as well, which is why we like to use, we try to stick with the same brand. So, yeah, so these would be the HP brand that we typically have. Yeah, and that's what the quotes are from all vendors. They're all the HP brands.
So is the committee comfortable if for these notes, I enter committee supports moving this agenda item to the May board meeting with a do not exceed cap reflective of the most current lowest quote?
Yeah.
Anybody get that?
Good luck.
Yeah. All right.
Don't handcuff yourself.
Yeah. All right. We administration appreciates that flexibility, knowing that it could be a last minute change in pricing. Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Right, then I'll turn over to the next committee, Buildings and Grounds. Mrs. Snyder.
And I will open it to Mr. Mann.
Evening, everyone. First on my list, I'm just going to give a little bit of an update again on Stop Finder. I've been putting it out on Friday updates. It's actually exceeding our expectations. The last number that I had gotten from Mr. Wanamaker this time last year, we returned 103 students to Peters due to parents not being at the bus stop. Right now we're at 15. Yeah, it was a huge reduction. Again, with that, there's an estimated savings. Again, it's kind of difficult to determine it and actually nail it down because we have buses that they'll circle around to try and drop that student off. If they circle around the second time and the parent's not there, well, now they're driving back to Peters. Well, who knows how large of a circle that they're making to try and get that child dropped off to their parents. It's not we don't want to have to make everyone go back to Peters. You know, the bus drivers, we try to do our best to get that student at that stop, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. So with that, it's we then save money on the drivers, the gas for the buses, the overtime for the building personnel that has to be out at Peters to wait for that child. It is really proven to be something that is worthwhile. We ran it for Slatington Elementary. I think we're up at 170 some students. I'm not sure how many parents. I think that's about the number we're at. The surprising one was we ran it. We sent out the emails for the high school, middle school, and by the following Monday, we were already up at 68 people that downloaded the app. Never would have guessed it for the high school and the middle school, but there's parents out there that maybe they have a sibling that they're using it for, and they'd like to know, older brother or sister, time to get out of bed, the bus is going to be here. So it's really proven to be very beneficial to us.
Can you remind me how much we pay for that program?
$2,700, I think, is for every bus van that we have students on. They're delivered, it covers that.
So we're seeing a little savings there. That's great.
Is there any policy, and I don't even know if it's the case for, I'm going to call them habitual offenders. Do we have certain people who on a regular and continual basis are the ones who aren't showing up? And is there anything we can do about that, or?
We do, and there are people that are helping.
So there's not a policy, there's not a board approved policy. In fact, our policy doesn't allow us to just say, kindergartner, get off the bus.
Right.
Sorry, your parents weren't here 3 times, that's 3 strikes, you need to get off the bus. We would, of course, never do that.
I understand that.
But what we do is if it becomes habitual, after many conversations by Mr. Wanamaker and school principals with the parents, and we're mostly talking about Peters Elementary School, if we have concern that something else is going on, we can reach out to other county type resources to help intervene and drive home the importance of a responsible adult being at the bus stop for the child. And we have done that and do that.
Is there a rule and regulation, and I don't know, I understand you don't want to drop the kindergarten off, but, a senior in high school, do we really need parents there? Where do we draw the line there as who we can and can't drop off? We can't.
So only a kindergarten has to have a parent there.
Only kindergarten,
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
And
some students that are in my schools.
Correct. Okay. And that's where adding the middle school and the high school has been beneficial, because then that covers all of her kids. Not saying that, it covered mostly Peters, but now that we're covering every piece of equipment that we have, that covers everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the addition of the high school and middle school was minuscule compared to, that was only a couple vehicles. Any other questions? Next on my agenda, every year, we get to the fuel bids. I'm sure everyone has passed the fuel pump. I wish I could say that we didn't go up, but that's not the case. did have a substantial increase. The last 2 years, I think we've been very fortunate. We haven't had a large increase. This year's very different. So everything in pink is what we have to have. Those are the fuels that Northern Lehigh uses. So the first one is our heating fuel. Number 3 is the heating fuel. That's the transport tankers. That's actually delivers all the heating fuel to all the buildings. We use 60,000 gallons a year. That was an increase of 1.5412 per gallon this year. Yeah. So we're almost $1.50 per gallon in increase.
There's $100,000 you were counting out there.
Yeah. Well, there's some things that we discussed earlier that we're going to try and work to try and save the district some more money. So the second one, that's the fuel. We have to have 2 separate ones because the second one is actually delivering the fuel to the field house. We don't have an area large enough for a tractor trailer to deliver fuel to the field house because the tank's in the back. That's why you have to go with a tank wagon. So a tank transport is 7,500 and above. A tank wagon is 7,400 and below. So that's why we have to have that second price so that the tank wagon can deliver fuel to the field house. Now that's a lot less. We believe about 16,000 gallons, give or take, of fuel is what we give to the field house. That was an increase of $1.0137 compared to last year. So it's not as much of a jump as it was for the transport, but there was still an increase. The next one is number 8. That's our diesel. That supplies all the buses that we use. So the diesel, we use 28,000 gallons a year. That was an increase of 1.6809. So $1.69.
Those electric buses are looking kind of good right now.
The cost of the bus itself is good.
I know. Maybe we should buy every student a sweater.
And the last one that we use is our gas. That's the 87 octane. We purchase 16,000 gallons of that a year. That was an increase of 1.4195 per gallon. So if you add them all up, we're at about $135,000 increase this year.
Just out of curiosity, our heating systems for the buildings, how old are those?
The majority of our heating systems, so we had 2 heating systems replaced in 2018. We had the boilers at the middle school and the boilers at the high school were replaced. Peters, I think, was shortly after that, or was that before?
Peters has been done since I'm on
Peters they're newer. The oldest system we have is right here at Slatington, and they're 25, maybe 30 years old. So they're not extremely old as compared to a boiler. They're not very old.
I was just thinking about efficiency and all that.
Was the heating system replaced when we bought it, the building here?
That was before me.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There you go.
So it's not that was 14 years ago?
Sure. Yep. Okay.
Just a question. I remember some years ago where we had fuel bid prices, and the price of everything went up considerably, and the people that we had to quote deal with just said, hey, we can't get gas for that price, too bad, get it somewhere else. And our legal counsel basically told us there's not much you could do. You can't force them to give you gas for $2 a gallon if that's what they bid, if it went up to $3. I guess my question becomes, what happens if the numbers go down considerably? Do we have the right, and I don't know what's gonna happen in the straight over there. If once we locked in, or we locked in, we can't go back and say, hey, we don't want your gas, we're gonna get it somewhere.
No.
We can't do that.
We are committed to how many gallons of gas that we commit to. So a couple of years ago, we had
at the end of the year, we had a fuel tank. We had one heating tank of oil that we still needed to use, or we would still have to pay for it. So we had to get it and put it around all the buildings. Same thing, if we don't do it, we have to pay for it because we commit to it.
And we can't do like a half-year purchase and hope that it gets better.
We kind of discussed that. So we have two buildings that, so this doesn't start till July 1st. So I can get this year's fuel at this year's price up until June 30th. So the idea is to try and get 2 more dumps in the high school tank, or 1 more dump in the high school tank, and another one in, I think Peters would be the next one that I could possibly get fuel in. So then we would have 2 schools that would have a full tank over the summer, where I can then reduce, instead of getting 60,000 gallons off of next year's pricing, drop it down to the 48,000 gallons to try and save a little bit of money. The diesel, the gas, that's something that we really can't reduce because that's what we use for the buses.
Can I see the heating one again?
Sure.
Is that up there? I just want to see how low it is compared to what I just paid today. It's $4.50 a gallon.
This is
so.
paper, heat, and water too.
That's number 3, right?
So Slatington uses gas and Peters uses gas.
You would probably,
So
you would
middle school,
probably be,
Slatington
I would
and
think
Peters,
the
the
same
high school uses it, but in a different way. They actually use what they call a heat jacket.
Business or just?
So it heats
No,
the
I'm
water
talking
in the
about like,
boiler, which heats a
I'm
big
talking about like for the,
tank, which has a tube running through it,
I'm
and
just
that's how it
trying
heats
to
the
weigh out,
water.
what is the savings
Yep.
that the school
Yeah, so
district's
it's a
getting?
different style. It
That
still
I'm
does it,
seeing,
it's
it's
more
really
efficient
minimal.
that way,
You know,
but it still uses oil.
I'm trying to like figure out a way that, is there a way that we could even like kind of go forward and be like, well, maybe we purchase oil as we go, you know, and see where the prices are at that point. I don't know how that makes, I mean, that's kind of what I do, but you just.
can't count on
So if
the
you look
vendors
at
having the
1 and
oil.
2, 1 and 2 is what they call a fluctuating. So the fluctuating is the price at that day. So the second one is what they call their differential. That's what they add on to that gallon. That's pretty much what the company's making off per
Right.
gallon of
Right.
gas for your delivery. That's where at fluctuating you see it's $3 or 3.6362 with a differential of 0.0314, which gives you your total of 3.6676. That was the cost the day they sent that out. Where if you go down to the firm, that's locked in at $2.94 a gallon. That'll never change. If
So
it goes
is
below it,
$3 off that one, the 76, so yeah, that makes sense, I took
Right.
that one.
so it's a huge gamble, you know? Yeah, you
really
can go
is.
fluctuating, and it could go up over $4, and now we're paying up over $4. But then in the same instance, come November, December, it could drop below. but
Right.
I'm not much of a gambler. I'd
No,
rather be
at-
able to
at
see that number.
$3, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'd rather be able to see that number.
I was looking at the $4 over here, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, that's
yeah,
not a
no.
big savings compared to what the market is right now.
Are the 2 columns different companies?
Correct. So the
Okay.
column on the left is Petroleum Traders, and then the
Okay,
one
I
on the right
missed-
is Sunoco.
I
Yep.
missed that part.
Now, Sunoco, they pretty much bid everything. They have delivery trucks
Right.
all over the place. Where Petroleum Traders, if you look, they do nothing but transport. So they got the big tractor trailers, that's all they have, and I think that's why they can kind of underbid everybody, because they're trying to corner that market in our area. Because again, this is a consortium. These are all school districts and municipalities in Pennsylvania that are using this.
Chris, who will bring who will we use for the tank, for the one that the field house?
That would be Sunoco.
Okay, so that's Sunoco, so that's the 436.
Yep.
Right, so like I was
And
saying,
would you
it's
say
not a
450?
huge savings,
Correct.
but you know what?
Yep.
Could be higher down the road, you know.
Yeah, it absolutely could be higher. And like I
That's
said,
the
that's the
gamble.
gamble.
Yeah.
You know, again, it
Had
could
I
go
known I
low.
would run out the other day, you know, I would have gotten it when it was a lot lower,
Exactly.
but I didn't realize that my husband doesn't pay attention
Sure.
to the oil tank level.
I fill the gas in my car every day just in case.
That's true too, yep.
Yeah. So we've already discussed it. Tomorrow, I'm gonna call in all these companies, we'll lock in a price. I just really wanted to show the board that we have an increase.
So
There's
we
not much
don't need
can do.
anything for the board meeting?
No, we actually do this ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think we start, in January, that we put it on the board agenda that when the fuel comes up, we can do it. Normally, it's a 24-hour turnaround, but because of the jump, they are allowing us actually till Wednesday, because I think a lot of municipalities and school districts are gonna try and figure out something to do, and that's why they're giving us a little extra time.
So once they give us the price, that's the lock for a year.
That's the lock price, yep.
For a
Yeah, but
year.
not till we call and lock in.
Correct.
So he could call
Well, I know,
tomorrow.
I understand that.
Yeah, he could call tomorrow and it could have dropped by
Change.
2 cents.
Sure.
Or it
Yeah.
could have went up by 4 cents. We don't know that
Yep.
until tomorrow when he calls.
But once it's done for.
That's locked in till
From June, from
July
July
1st of this
1st
year.
to June 30th.
Yep, correct. Yep.
Now, we did talk, there are other ways that we could maybe say, like, I'm just throwing a number out there, we use 80,000 gallons of diesel. Do we want to back that down by 10% and only do like 70,000 gallons? And then know that at the end of the year, hopefully when we need it, price would have dropped. So you might gamble a little, but that's up to the board if that's something the board.
But if we're telling them 7,200, that's what we're committed to.
Correct. Correct. So if we back it down a little bit, you're not committed to as much, and then you run a slight risk on.
And then try to need more.
Does it go down or does it go up when you're talking about probably needing that last maybe around March or April of next year?
I mean, I think that down the road we will see some relief, but, you know, no one has a crystal ball to determine that, so, you know.
And filling up your tanks is nice, but if you still commit to X number of gallons, you're gonna have to buy that sooner or later anyway.
Correct. Well, and that's
why I like the idea of maybe cutting back a little bit on what we're looking at. If our tanks are full, and then we can say, oh, okay, maybe we cut back on our allotment a little bit.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
I would do that if it was me, you know.
You could put any extra in my oil tank.
What did you budget for the 26, 27 for the budget we're just gonna be talking about? Did you have an estimated increase of 135,000?
Yes,
or
we did.
You had that already?
We talked about it, and pretty much what he came out at, if we did the exact amount that we think we're gonna need as firm, we would have just enough in the budget to cover it.
And that was kind of guessing, 2 years ago, we didn't know the gas pricing. So we went with a normal, I think we went 5% back then, where it was pennies that went up, which was good. Because then this past year, we went another 5%, knowing, okay, there's 9 chances out of 10 gas is gonna go up. Something's going up. Well, with those increases over the years and the gas really not going up a lot, that's what enabled me to have it real close to my budget to the increase.
Didn't it drop 1 year?
No, it might have.
It dropped 1 year.
I thought 1 year it dropped a little bit.
Right?
But whatever, okay.
But so with that, and because of those minor increases over the years to account for the increase, now we're okay. If we didn't do those little increases, it might be a little worse.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions to that area?
Do what you gotta do.
All right, on to your scoreboard.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a scoreboard update. I received a call last week. They were actually supposed to start tearing down the old scoreboard today. They had a little bit of a problem at another place that they were installing, so they're actually gonna be delayed till this Friday. They're actually gonna show up with 2 crews. They're gonna work as late as they can to get the old one down, the new steel installed, most, if not all, of the new scoreboard installed. Then they're gonna back out because on Saturday is the America 250 event. So they're gonna get to a spot where it's safe. They're gonna pull out all their equipment, and then they'll come back and we can finish everything up on Monday. Maintenance right now is actually digging the ditch. They're installing the electric and the data pipes from the bleachers to the scoreboard. Later on, after graduation after Bulldog games, they're going to then start the digging from the field house to the bleachers to put in the second half of that run to supply the scoreboard with the power it needs.
So do you anticipate this to be completed for graduation?
That's the plan.
Yeah, because you guys are going to use that field for graduation if it's
Correct.
weather permitting.
Correct.
Okay.
The data lines will be installed. Our plan is to have all the electric, but we do have a contingency plan in case we don't get all the electric. The most important thing is Mr. Hill and their data. The electric side, we can get a generator and we can supply electric a little easier than they can.
Right.
So, yeah, we do have a contingency plan if it doesn't work out. All right. Any other questions?
I would just like to compliment Mr. Mann and our maintenance department workers through their ingenuity of figuring out how to advance the timeline from trenching from the stadium bleachers over to where the current scoreboard is. All that work was done in-house. All they had to do was rent a mini backhoe, but they actually got a lot of it dug by modifying one of our other pieces of equipment to not have to do the backhoe until they hit actual rock. So they've been working really hard on that, and it's because of that that we're still on this timeline to have everything installed by graduation.
And when will we do? Gym floor be done?
That's going to be after the July 1st.
Okay.
That's going to actually be on next year's budget,
Okay.
correct.
When is graduation again? May 5th, weather permitting. I'll scratch that.
Thank
Supposed to be nice.
Okay. Did I ask?
Yeah, sorry about that.
June 5th.
Oh, you still have more on that?
One more. So we got
Busy.
Who has control? There we go. So this is the first print that we received from Alloy 5. This is for the LSS apartment over at the high school. We actually had an employee from Alloy 5 came out. Estada and myself spoke to her, gave her a couple things that we wanted to see in the apartment. They had some pictures that were taken out at Nazareth when a couple of them went out to Nazareth, so we sent those over. This is the first print that we received.
So Mrs. Donna, you want to just kind of describe, and I'll scroll down enough as you need me to, like what the purpose of it and what you have included here as the first draft.
So when we went out to Nazareth too, this was the main components that Nazareth had as well. The idea is to give students a real life opportunity to work on skills that we as typical, parents already, our students, and we know we need to teach these skills to the students. So we would have a living room so that they could see what it's like, have board games, things that we would do as pastimes, and then they can do. Making a bed, folding our laundry, putting it in the drawers so that we know where it is, things like that, making a bed. Obviously the dining room so that we could have a dinner there, have them cook the dinner, have them serve people, set up. We need a knife, a fork. What kind of dishes do we need for what dinner are we having? And then, of course, the kitchen, so that they can have the opportunity to cook their own meal. Learn from that. I will tell you, it was phenomenal to watch in Nazareth. They opened up the doors to some of the cabinets, and there were pictures of what should be in those cabinets. Your green beans, your stuffing, like that all needs to be in there, and where you can find it. And then we took the bathroom. One of the things was to make a handicap bathroom for this apartment, because the current bathrooms in there is 2. There's 2 bathrooms in there instead of the laundry room, for instance. Okay, neither one of them are handicap accessible right now, but we would make one that would be handicap accessible, and then a laundry room so that we can teach students how to use
the washing machine, not put too much soap in, like the whole 9 yards, and then how to fold everything up.
I feel like this would be good for like kids going to college.
Right. I'm thinking my husband.
I'm doing laundry, you know, what's going on here?
This is, so now that we have a full continuum of life skills classrooms in the district, this is almost like a culminating, like senior project, so to speak, like many of our traditional students would do for this population of students, being able to go down here and demonstrate that they have either come close to or have mastered independent living skills, which is really what we want for all of our students.
We have to remember that these students are with us typically till 22 as well. You know, so they yes, they're learning the reading and their math and things like that, but they need to know what these skills before they go out into the real world.
The bedroom and the dining room are not completely furniture populated. There's no dressers, there's no punch.
Right.
Is that all included in there?
We would, as the space is finished, we would then have to budget to have those kind of furniture pieces put in there as well, so they can literally practice, you know, putting laundry away or making a bed.
The restore. I got it all planned out. You ever go to the restore? That's where we're going.
Well, I saw the closet in the one room, but there's nothing in that bedroom, your closet or anything.
No, these floor plans are not necessarily to scale.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
They're coming back to do actual measurements, but conceptually, we wanted to put this in front of the committee.
What exactly, I see that that's probably like a kitchen island.
Yes.
But what are the 4 things, are
I
those
think those are meant
chairs?
to be chairs.
It's an island.
Like a sit-in.
Yeah.
No.
Is one bathroom sufficient, or you don't need a boys and a girls and something like that?
Is there a shower in there?
No, that was, we talked about that, but I don't really want to.
Can you mock can you mock something up so they know what it is, what it looks like?
Well, we have showers in the high school that we could use as well, as, you know,
Okay.
to show them what it would look
How
like.
to roll in with the wheelchair.
How many kids typically would you have in that space at one time?
I would have them rotate in a small group, like maybe 5 out of our 10. So we have about 8 to 10 life skills students in the high school, for instance. So I would have them split up. But remember, we also have the IU class too, which would be a huge opportunity for them as well.
Yeah. Right. So what's the floor plan? How big is it?
Well, that's what we have to.
Roughly.
Do you know the square footage?
I have.
So the
I did.
space, do you want to know what the space actually, so the space is existing, we just need to
Correct.
kind of retrofit it into this.
I know I've seen the space.
This was the faculty room pre-COVID.
Oh.
This was the faculty room. So there is kind of a kitchen, but it is more of a galley kitchen where you can't really get it. Like, I wouldn't be able to get a wheelchair in there or things like that. So we're talking about taking basically that wall where the island is out. There's actually a wall there. Taking that out so that it would be an open concept so that.
So at least it has plumbing.
Yes, so right now the space has a sink and 2 bathrooms. That's why one laundry room is actually going to be, was a bathroom at one time. So there's water and a drain there. Really easy to throw dishwasher machine and dryer in there. The other bathroom, again, is a bathroom now. So there is already sewer drain and water there. The kitchen already has a sink pretty much right where the sink is.
Yep. So you put in upper cupboards you'll need to put in. And
Yeah, the only difference in this print is, like we said, the bathroom and the laundry room. There was a door to the left of what you see would be the range top. They're actually going to block that with just a wall so that you're not having 2 different doors coming in. The other thing then is the wall pretty much where the island is. That wall is going to disappear, which opens up that kitchen. Again, this isn't to scale, so knowing the space, I think the dining room and the kitchen are kind of going to squish together a little more than what it shows here.
Well, there's a lot of space in that kitchen. Would be lovely to have.
But it kind of gives you the idea of what we're trying to go for. Again, the kitchen would have to be open enough for a wheelchair. So everything in there would have to be wheelchair accessible.
Low enough.
Correct. Yep.
So currently, this is right off the cafeteria on the basement level of the high school. So, you know, over the next few weeks, they'll come back, actually start measuring things. This is one of the projects that was identified in the capital reserve funds, that $3 million. At some point, you know, we'll come back to this committee and the school board and say, okay, we need direction on, do you actually want to do this at this price, which is, you know, things would have to kind of go out for bid. You know, if you direct us to say, yeah, we want to do it, go out for bid, then we would do that. So there's, you know, we're not close to starting a project like this, or we're still in the kind of fact-finding stages.
I do love this concept, I do, but I do know that we have more red items that need to be addressed. So I feel like we need to target those areas before we can have this beautiful thing, you know, which is, it is a beautiful thing. But I know we need to address those more hot items.
Can you get the Rotec to build it? I'm serious.
We can have a conversation with them. They used to do off-site home projects before. They stopped doing off-site work like that. But I'm more than comfortable to ask their executive director if they would want to do a project like that.
Even cabinets and stuff, if we need cabinets made, we have a cabinetry department at LCTI, don't we?
They actually sunsetted that.
Oh, they did?
LGIC has a kitchen and bath program that maybe that they could do something too.
You can absolutely reach out to Dr. Greenwald and Huber.
You know, just to save some money, some memories we can.
I think we can look at, we just don't even know.
They have a carpentry program.
First, we need a place to start.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's where, once we have a place to start, then I think we can start to say.
Years ago, I saw the house in Bethlehem Rotec built. Oh my goodness, that was.
Do you know how many other districts have something like this? I heard you say Nazareth, but are there multiple districts with this type of setup?
I can tell you, when I worked at Kutztown, they put one in, they actually, when they took the administration out, district administration out of the high school, that became an independent living space for this population of students. Even prior to that, I'm not sure if Northampton has one, but I know when I worked for Lehigh University's lab school for students with special needs, they had one.
There's Lifehouse, the IU has Lifehouse too.
The IU has their own, okay.
Is this a possible area where we can, you know, possibly get students from other districts to be
come in and
enrolled here for that particular, like if a school district isn't offering something and a parent's adamant that they want this, could we potentially gain some money from having to, you know, have that? Is that?
So we are allowed to accept tuition students per our policy. We have never done that because most times we're trying to keep the space, the seats, available for our own students.
Right.
And if we were to max out what we're allowed to put in that room per caseload for one of those teachers, for a special education teacher, and then we have a student that becomes our student, they move into the district, or just naturally enroll into the district and work their way up to that program, we have to have space for that.
Right.
It's difficult because you have 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th,
Right.
and then you have your transition years up to 22. So that room typically is maxed.
Yeah.
Every now and then we do get a request like that from another district. Maybe more so, a little bit more often, where they want their child to enroll in like our elementary life skills program. And there's been times that we've gotten a request and we've only had one seat available and we deny the request because what do we do if somebody moves into our district and needs that space? And I think in the years that I've been here, it's been more so at the lower grades.
It's always been at the elementary grades. Because smaller districts can support the life skills of their own at the higher because of the grade span.
Right.
I would say that I'm in favor of moving forward with this, but it seems like it's a way down the road. And I guess I would look, is the board as a whole interested in moving forward? If we aren't, you know, regardless of what the price is, then maybe we should say stop now, which is not what I'm saying. I'm saying let's
Right,
proceed.
instead of-
But I think maybe you should get some kind of consensus,
Yeah.
Natalie, on whether.
I would
maybe-
love that, if
maybe
anyone
the board
wants to
proceed.
proceed with this. Let's talk about it.
I know we have a lot of needs to meet, but to me, this is an education part that it's not just a building of an apartment. To me, it's part of the education that we're offering those students. And like Shelley said, it's not just through the high school, you know, it's not 18, you have 4 more years. These students, that they're going to still be here, and we need to learn these skills. I'm in favor of keeping it in the capital reserve.
I will say it's difficult to fill schedules when you're talking about all of those years. You can only take food so many times, for instance, with students that are at the high school. And we're smaller, so we don't have as many electives. So it's difficult to get these life skills students included into classes because they would wind up having to retake things, which just makes no sense. So that is a difficult with having a smaller district. You know.
Is there a budget amount that you're anticipating this to?
I have no idea. That's what.
We don't know yet. I think we did have something typical of.
I think that's a.
It may have been one of those empty
You're gonna tell
cells.
me
It's an empty cell.
It's $2 million, so I'm gonna say.
It's
I have no
an empty cell,
idea.
because we have no
Right.
idea.
There are a lot of rehabilitation places that have small units, bits and pieces of that, where they learn occupation, where they do occupational therapy. So that's another place to look for information.
Maybe we get some local vendors who would be willing to assist.
I think that
Do that.
there's a vast amount of things that we can do.
Right.
I just need the next step so that we can see, what are we even talking about?
Yeah.
You know, and then we can say, okay, maybe, you know, I know a cabinet maker, for instance, in the area, you know what I mean? Can we get some of those things that are higher priced, but taking a wall out, I don't think is something that, the guys are great, but I don't think they could take a wall out. You know what I mean? Like,
These
there's
are
some things
to
that.
lay out the.
No, can't do it. Do you have a number?
Number?
Yeah, I thought you were.
No,
Well,
it was a blank cell.
Since we're not committing to anything, and I think even why we should proceed at this point.
Angela, your thoughts or anything?
I was just thinking, looking for donations. Maybe somebody has a bed, somebody wants to give furniture.
No doubt.
No,
Yeah, I
I
agree
mean,
with
I'm
that
thinking,
for
hey, I
sure.
got a dresser, here's
To
a
furnish
dresser,
it,
yeah,
yeah.
Washer dryer. I was
Yeah.
just gonna
So
say.
if we can do that, I mean, it may not
What-
be as
From what I'm
modern.
hearing, I guess the next point is that we should have Alloy 5 come back out, get actual measurements so we know actual square footage, narrow down what the space is, and then go from there. We'll bring it back again, and then maybe we can kind of
Look at some cost
get a little
savings to do
closer
that,
to
yeah.
what this is, what it's gonna cost to refurnish the bathrooms and the laundry room.
What's the
maybe
cost for the
kitchen. That's
Why
all.
don't we,
So they're already, because they're our architect of record,
Correct.
until these projects actually become projects, we're not, this is just part of them being approved. But if we ask them to start drawing up, helping us write like RFPs,
Oh, yeah.
That's
then it
a different
becomes,
story.
then it's a certain percentage of the total project cost.
right.
Now, is this being part of our budget this year, or is this for
No,
next,
next
maybe
year's
next, or whatever? 2-3 years down. Okay.
Yeah, and again, this isn't part of the fund, this is not part of a general operating budget. This would be out of, the board says move forward, out of that $3 million we set aside for capital reserves projects, facility improvement projects. So kind of two different budgets. So this is not considered on the budget that we're currently working on.
Right, you could do it this year, if you wanted to start this in January, you could start in January, because capital reserve isn't like a budget that you need to go to PD, approve it, and it's for a year's time. It's just capital reserve money that we use for this.
So I'm hearing, Gary or, do you guys have any input? Are you?
I like the idea, I just,
much from VOTEC, LCTI, LTRI-C, as much of that as we possibly can to get, I mean, we're helping them at the same time as they're helping us, so. Yeah.
I think it's an integral part of an educational program, so yeah, I support it 100%.
Okay, so it sounds like everybody
Is in favor of going forward with the next step.
I just don't want to see you spend a lot of time and go, nah, we
No, and I
don't want to
agree,
do that.
yes.
Yeah, so.
Find out what we would need someone to come in and do versus what we can try and farm out and get donations or in-kind services or something.
Okay, there's your direction.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, and since that was his last item, we will close the building.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh.
Have we looked at hiring the maintenance yard workers for the summer? Yeah.
We're still getting applications.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, we're gonna close up buildings and grounds and turn it over to Donna for finance.
So, Mrs. Fink is currently at Peters Elementary School, the Shine program, which we host in conjunction with LTRI-C. They actually have their audit tonight. Part of that audit is food services. So she's on site with them to support them through what she does to feed the children in Shine program. So she doesn't have an actual report tonight.
That's fine. Budget presentation.
Yes, and give me one second. Yeah, you can fill it in. And I will bring up the budget presentation.
No, I'm not.
That
would not be a fair trade.
Okay, so this evening we're going to give the most current iteration of this presentation, which we've been doing now for a couple months. Keeping in mind that administration does not need, there will be no vote on this in the May board meeting next week. However, we're hopeful that we leave here this evening with some direction as to things that you would like us to continue and include in the budget for when you do have to vote on it in June. So again, nothing on this will appear at the May board meeting that needs to be voted on. Administration, though, is going to show you some updated information this evening, and then I do leave here with some direction on what to plan for in June. Okay. This is you. Okay, thanks. So these numbers have not changed since the first time you've seen this presentation. This is representative of the recommended budgeted amount at each school building for the 26-27 school year.
This slide also hasn't changed. This is our Act 1 index and PSERS information. So again, the Act 1 index is set at 3.5% by the Independent Financial Office, and Northern Lehigh's adjusted index is 4.8%. You can see where the IFO office is anticipating the projected Act 1 indexes moving forward from the 27-28 to the 29-30 year. And also below is the PSERS information. 2026, our PSERS is set at 33.59%. And you can see from 27 through 29 what they're projecting the PSERS to head to. However, keep in mind the last 2 years it has been a very minimal, less than 1% decrease due to the return on investments and things that they've been receiving. So again, those are all projected numbers.
Okay, this slide has also not changed. You will notice that one position that we are asking to be included in this year's budget, which is not currently part of the faculty, is a business teacher at the high school. And this we're tying directly back to, you heard Mr. Pine mention earlier, the interest that we're seeing from our students as they kind of frame things on pathways to graduation and for what they also want to do, whether they want to go directly into employment after they graduate or go into higher education for further instruction.
Again, this slide has not changed. This is prior years, going back over 5 years, and where our expenditures and our revenues have ended. The red being our expenditures and the blue bars being our revenues. As you can see last year, as you can see every year progressing up, the expenditures have been creeping up to where our revenues are. Last year, we were within $500,000 of the expenditures and revenues being a flat equal budget. This year, when our numbers finish, we are probably going to be red above blue, and that was strategic by the board of using some of our fund balance for some of those one-time purchases last year. So we are getting to the point now where our expenditures are going to start outlasting our revenues. And again, this is our fund balance for ending June 30th of 2025. We had a little over $18.5 million in our fund balance at that point in time. Remember, we did move $3 million out of this and put that into CR. So currently, right now, if we took a snapshot of today, we would have about $15 million left in our fund balance because $3 million is over in CR. That also me. All right, budget increase expenditures. So cost drivers for 26-27. Again, salaries and benefits, which is our health cares and our PSERs. CLIU special educational costs. Those continue to increase based on the needs of our students that are being placed within the IU programs. Business position at the high school. That's a new added position that administration is recommending for 26-27. Charter and cyber charter schools, we budgeted that at status quo. We did see some relief last year based on the new laws that went into effect with cyber school funding. However, we do still have kids that come in and out and transition in and out, and if we have 2 or 3 kids that transition in that are special ed, we're going to blow all that money out of the water. So we just kind of kept it status quo, just not knowing who was going to be going into those cyber charter schools. Maintenance and repair costs and utilities. We continue, actually, we talked to Buildings and Grounds about our, the utility costs going up with our fuel, oil, and gas and that kind of stuff, although we do have that built in this year. Electricity is something that we're going to discuss a little bit later about a meeting that we had earlier today to hopefully talk about the potential for cutting some of our expenditures with our electricity costs. And of course, outplacements are always a driving cost factor to our budget.
Sherry, before you move on, for the charter cyber, do you recall how much savings we got with that relief that they gave us?
Sure. So normally for a brick and mortar charter school, I want to say we're around 20,000, 18, 19, 20,000 for a regular ed student. It went down to 15.
So overall, do you recall like how much we kind of saved?
So this year is the first year that we got that because this is the first year for that. So I won't know that potential number until the end of the year.
Okay.
Correct.
I'd like to see that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Projected revenue streams?
All right, projected revenue streams, again, we base our real estate collection on a 94.7% collection rate. We passed the resolution not to raise taxes above the adjusted index of 4.8. Federal revenues were budgeted at the 25-26 amounts. We are not seeing anything where that is going to jump up to any kind of a large amount of money that we could use to offset the teachers and stuff that we pay out of those grants. State revenues were budgeted at a slight increase over 25-26. Again, basic ed, I added about 115, special ed about 40, and Ready to Learn block grant. We have a new base of the $372,616. Adequacy funding at $25,992. And the tax equity also, and some of those have to be used for specific areas. Again, the tax equity has to be used to offset debt. So I do use that money to offset our debt payments. Current fund balance, this is where our fund balance ended as of June 30th of 2025. So again, it's 18.5 million in fund balance. I was anticipating on using probably about 1.3 million for one-time purchases in the 25-26 school year. My projections currently are going to be probably somewhere around 1.2.
Can you come back a second?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So again, you've seen this slide several times now. You can see the projects. So these are projects that would come out of this year's budget, not capital reserve, not that $3 million. This is actual general operating budget if the board approves moving forward with these. One of which is the, so next year, so recently we just approved the water softener for Slatington Elementary School. We would still like to replace the one at the high school. Furniture replacement, kind of phase 2 for Slatington and the high school. And then the math curriculum, which was previously approved, going K through 6, and then we're exploring grades 7 and 8. That's all happening this upcoming school year, and then it goes into the 2027-28 school year and beyond.
So this is our, what I'm anticipating our estimated fund balance to be at as of June 30th of 2026. So we started out with the 18.5. I think we're going to end somewhere around 14.3 million. Again, I'm thinking we're probably going to use about $1.2 million to balance this year's budget, and then $3 million of that we moved over to CR. So we still have that money. It's just not in the general fund anymore. And so you can see where we're looking at the yellow area is all those one-time purchases that we are recommending for the 26-27 school year. And again, our total fund balance would be somewhere around 14.3.
So, just a quick question.
Sure.
For the area in yellow, you're suggesting to use fund balance for that?
Correct. That's all the stuff that Dr. Link just talked about with the high school, the water softener, the furniture at Slatington and Peters, Slatington and the high school, sorry, and then bond proceeds. Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, we put over $2 million back in that. We did strategically every year. We want to take $200,000 out of that to pay down some of our bond debt. The math program, that is a curriculum line item within fund balance also, so that's to buy that. And then PCERS and healthcare increases, that's part of that upper one where it's the committed fund balance, so we keep taking out of that to pay those costs, so yes.
So you have an ending fund balance June 30th, you have $1,260,000 there.
Where are you at? Yes.
On the top.
Yep.
That is not included in the yellow?
Well, it technically is because you get down to the 14,306,000. That's last year. So I'm taking what I'm ending out at the 14,306,000, the second line at the top, and I'm saying once I look at everything for 26, 27, that's how I'm going to get the 14,306 again.
Okay.
So this year's 1.2 was part of the 18 million. I already took that out of there, and that's where I got to the 14 million.
Okay.
You're welcome. So expenditures and revenues, again, our total expenditures are $44,218,800, and our total revenues are $43,064,613. There is the fund balance, one-time purchases, PCERS, medical expenses for $1,259,150. We still have a budget shortfall of $1,154,87. And the total revenues currently include that tax increase to our Act 1 index of 4.8%. that the board did in the preliminary. So I'm now showing you what the preliminary budget that was approved shows and does for our expenditures and our revenues and what we're still short at that point.
So that 43,000 is including the 4.8%?
Correct. Yep, that 40, there's 800, and you'll see on the other slide, there's $859,000 that we got in additional revenues with a 4.8% tax increase. That's included in the local revenue.
And just so I can be clear, the budget shortfall of 1.154 billion includes a 4.8% tax increase.
Correct. So the tax
it's less
increase
than
is
that,
already
but
in
the
there, we're
shortfall.
still short 1.1.
Okay,
Correct.
I just want to emphasize that.
That is correct.
No raise for you this year.
So this slide here shows where we started when we did the first presentation in March, where we were at $2.4 million deficit. In April, we were at just over $2 million. And now, if you approve with that 4.8%, as was preliminarily approved, we're down to the 1.1 million.
Pressure, what does the 4.8 give us to our?
It's on one of the next two slides, but I think it's around $859,000.
Okay, I'm just trying to match those numbers.
Yep.
Thank you.
So our expenditures, again, 44,218, and then the 41,805,463 was our revenues with fund balance use and the tax increase in there. So we still have a budget shortfall of 2413337. Our one-time purchases are 1,259,150, giving us that remaining shortfall of 1,154,187. If the board would decide that they want to stick with the 4.8 and do nothing more and not cut anything out of the budget that was presented, we would be taking the remaining out of fund balance. However, that will be reoccurring costs, so the board's going to need to understand that that will continue to snowball. And we would end up with a fund balance of probably just under 12 million at the end of the 26-27 school year.
And that's still with the 4.8%?
Correct. Yep.
So this is just a representation of what you've done back to 2020, 2021 with the preliminary amount approved, and then what the actual final amount approved was for increases.
So here's that number you were looking for. Our 4.8 in Northampton County. So again, as you remember, we have to equalize mills between the two counties. So although it's a 4.8% is our adjusted, Northampton County goes to 4.8. And once Northampton County hits their 4.8, I can't ask for any more money from the taxpayers. So Lehigh County maxes out at 2.997. So blended, it's a 4.32% increase, which gives us $858,000 in additional revenue. If we then look at a 4.25 blended, you're going to look at $845,000. Again, you'll see each one of them down to a 3.5. It's taking anywhere from $49,000 to $50,000 each time you drop 0.25%. That's how much money we are no longer taking in. So in that case, that $1,154,000, remember, you're going to have to add that $49,000 to that number, because then we're still short more now because you didn't go to the tax increase in the 4.8. So again, Lehigh County at a 4.8 or the 4.32 blended, they will get on a median assessed value home would be $112 increase for the year, $933 a month, $215 a week, or 31 cents a day. For Northampton County, a median assessed home is at $46,250. Theirs would go up $182. $15.17 a month, $350 a week, or 50 cents a day. And our value of our mill will go from roughly around 670 to 673 is our value of our mill. I know some of the questions as we go with every year of like, Northampton County seems to always max out and they're paying way more, and it all stems on the STEB equalization of mills between the two counties. Lehigh County reassessed back in 2018. Northampton County has not reassessed since 1995. So they are looking at assessed values over 30 years old. So if you look at the STEB market values, Slatington's market value versus assessed value, which is what they use to drive our formulas for figuring out our tax rates. Slatington is about 89%. Our assessed value is at 89% of what market value. Washington Township is at almost 91% of their market value. Northampton County is 28% of their market value is their assessed value. So that's why there's such a disparity, and why there's such an issue with this is because you have counties that don't reassess for many, many years, and it causes this disparity, especially when when the other county does reassess. So again, we have total properties in northern Lehigh. Lehigh County has 4,949. Northampton County has 889. Total residential properties that are homestead, farmstead approved in Lehigh County is 2,855, and in Northampton County is 530. And our tax relief for this year is $1,656,849, up somewhere around $1,300 from last year. So you can see where our rates have been going. 23, 24, we went $354, 24, 25, we went to $427, about a $70 increase. Last year, again, we went to $500.62. That's another like $70 increase. This year, I did finish working on these numbers as we were sitting here this evening. And this year, we are going to see $504.58 because there was only a $1,000 increase there. So, and we did have a couple properties that dropped off in both counties, and that is because as those properties are sold, the new people may not have applied for the Act 1 or for the Homestead Farmstead relief yet, and they'll probably end up coming back on next year unless they happen to buy that property as a rental property. Then they cannot get Homestead Farmstead because you must live in that, and that must be your primary residence in order to qualify for Homestead Farmstead.
So the relief money, Sherry, that comes from the state?
Yes, that we get from the state.
So the state, once again, gave us an additional, oh my God, almost $1,000 more to divide on the problem. Is that right? Am I reading that right?
You are correct, and I want to say for many years it was like that. It was $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. It was very minimal. And 23, 24, 24, 25, and 25, 26, they started to, I think there was some kick up with people saying that these tax gambling money was supposed to be used to offset property tax bills, and I don't think they felt it was being used in that realm, and that's why over the last 2 years we saw some significant increases.
I'm just saying, once again, the state has come through with a grand total of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So annual tax increases on a median assessed value home for Lehigh County. Last year's bill would have been $3,964.99. If we went with the 4.32, which is the blended, the 4.8 original max that we could go to, is $111.97. And for Northampton County, it's $181.61. And then you can see each one as we drop by 1/4%, what will happen to that taxpayer's bill in the decreasing. They'll decrease somewhere between $7 and $9 each time you jump it down by 1/4%.
So administratively, we continue to recommend utilization of the fund balance for one-time purchases, debt service payment, and PESers and healthcare increases. Administration is recommending a 4.8% tax increase in conjunction with utilization of the fund balance to close the gap, in addition to generating some revenue for upcoming years of capital improvements not included in the capital reserve fund. recommending the additional position of the Northern Lehigh business teacher, Northern Lehigh High School business teacher, and explore energy cost savings on peak energy days. So this is new. Past few weeks, Mrs. Molitoris has been kind of communicating with Provident, one of our energy suppliers. Today we had a meeting, Mr. Mann, Mrs. Molitoris, and myself had a meeting with Provident to talk about peak energy days. And one of the things that we would like some direction on this evening, in addition to anything else you would like to provide, is the opportunity for this summer for us to explore trying to kind of reset our base rates for what would actually not, that would not affect the budget that we're currently working on. But it could reset the base for years to come on what we pay for electric. We receive emails from Provident that will say, for instance, if it's a Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday, is projected to be one of the 5 peak energy days of usage for all of our customers, Northern Lehigh School District included. The good news is when they showed us our data over the last couple of years, we actually do really well in the summer because of some decisions that the school board made previously. Never once did a Friday appear as a peak energy day, which shows that us deciding to do a 4-day work week, even if the other area users, if the peak energy day is a Friday, we're not paying that peak energy rate because we're not here, and our usage significantly drops on a Friday. The fact that we, Monday through Thursday, because we adjust our work schedule, most of our people are coming in, they're getting here at 6 a.m. in the morning, or they're here by 7. As they start to fall off, our peak energy usage really drops from like 2 p.m. on Monday through Friday. Peak energy time for all users during the summer is actually like 6 p.m. And the logic on that is, well, people are going home and they're starting to do, like, they're turning up their AC, they're using their ovens, they're doing all these other things that drain electricity, and that's when, through all their customers, they see that's when the peak hour is. Well, we're well gone within our buildings by then, and we're not here on Fridays. If they send us one of these, hey, tomorrow's supposed to be a peak energy usage day, would the school board be interested in allowing basically administration and administrative support staff to work from home on those days? Because what we can do is we can put all of our buildings on setback mode, so unoccupied mode, where we're not going to be affected by these peak energy rates for the school district. This wouldn't affect custodian and maintenance, right, because they can't do their work from home. But we could virtually kind of do like an administrative virtual day and do our work from home on those days. We're probably looking at, throughout the course of the summer, if there were 2 a month, we're looking at maybe 6 days that this would affect us. So we're just trying to kind of think outside of the box here. There are some other entities that say when they get noticed that a peak energy day is coming, that they let their people work from home to keep the cost of electricity down in the buildings. Again, if you were to say, yep, look into this, and because some things that we would have to plan for are, well, what happens if it's a day that STEAM camp's in session, or what happens if it's a day that extended school year is in session? We don't know yet. This is something that, if you direct us to explore this, one of the things that we could potentially do, if it is one of those days, well, they're gone by 12:30. And then we do a half of work from home day. We just send everybody home at like 1 o'clock. And then everybody's gone already. If it's a day when there's no camps in session, well, then we could do a full day, potentially save. They ran analytics on for us just for Slatington Elementary School on the 5 peak days from last summer, and it's about $2,000 a month in savings. So that could scale up, right? Certainly the middle school doesn't use as much electricity as Slatington Elementary School does, but maybe that $2,000 could save us like $4,000 district wide, and then it helps us reset our rates for the following year.
The $2,000, is that just if the administrator's not here that day?
Well, that's if we shut back all of our HVAC settings, we're not using lighting, we're not using.
So you would have maintenance workers working in an air-conditioned building?
Yeah, it could potentially be for that particular day that the HVAC is not going.
Now, if it's a peak day and we cut back and say people to work from home, isn't it their home electric bills would be peak and they would be charged a higher cost for electric? And this is coming out of their pockets?
So potentially, yes, that one person's going to be home in their house using their laptops to do the work that they do here. But remember, we're talking about a home compared to an entire school building of the ratio of how much electricity they're actually using. So that's an offset.
So don't we have zones in the building where we just shut down everything else except for the administrative offices, secretary's office?
So we do scale back in the summer, but keep in mind, we already have data to show, even last summer, with just the admin in, where we are doing the zones that are occupied, it's already that much more a year. It's already that much more that we're spending on those 5 peak days because there's people in the buildings.
Otherwise, our electricity use is fluctuating per kilowatt or whatever, so it fluctuates.
They will adjust our rates on peak usage. And that's not uncommon.
So let me just.
I think that's for all users, not just somebody like a school district. I'm pretty certain it is.
So in the summer, we're using more electricity. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're using more electricity in the summer.
It's not saying that we're using more.
Okay, it's just a peak day.
Yes.
It's
So
more
it's
expensive
a
that day.
grid. So the grid is, everybody's attacking that grid. So that grid is over, they don't want to fry the grid, where then people don't have electricity or the power shuts down. So they're trying to send out and say, hey, we charge you less if you back on your grid usage during these times on this day. So they pick like the hottest day, when it's going to be 95 or 102 degrees, total humidity, and they'll say, this is a peak high day because we know air conditionings are going to be running at full mass, and it's really going to be a load on the grid.
And I turn my air conditioner down on those days.
I have my home set up to do it automatically, and I get money back every month for doing it.
Mhm.
So like if you smart your home, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, then you get that money.
What happens in the summertime when you have 3 days that are peak days?
So
You only
that's-
pick one day?
So that, Mrs. Williams, that's a great question, because of the 5 days, believe it or not, it was in June. We had a heat wave in June last summer, and it was 3 of the 5 days were consecutive days. And then I believe there was a July one and maybe an August one. So that is possible that it could be 3 consecutive days. Where we would want, if the board wants to give administration direction to try this summer, that is possible, that they could be back to back. It was like, I want to say the 3rd week in June last year, that there were 3 days in a row that were 3 of the 5 days.
How many administrative and assistant administrative are we looking at?
So there would be, I'm going to count at the middle school, it would be the principal, and it would be the office administrative support person. At the high school, it would be the principal, and I'll include the assistant principal, just to pick a building at the high school, Mrs. Delgado at the high school. And then there's 3 office support staff that work during the summer. At Slatington, it is the principal and administrative assistant. At Peters, it's the same thing, principal, administrative assistant, so somebody keep count of all those. Okay, thank you. And then the assistant principal, so, the assistant principal, we put Slatington or Peters. Dr. Rush Wallace also is full-time, so we include her at the high school.
And then in the admin building, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Mrs. Fink, 6, and Chief Jones. There's another one, yeah. So it's 20 people. Oh, and then, I'm sorry, and then the admin assistants up here, it is.
I have 3. I have 4. 24 people.
Would you all be willing to work at home in a situation like that?
And, yeah, 2 technology guys.
And then, right.
2 technology guys.
I do have a question though, like, you know, with your office, administrative side of your office, don't they physically need to be here doing their job, like paperwork, or do they work all on the computer too? Like, you know what I'm saying, like, how would they physically?
Almost everything is databases anymore. So there would be some inconveniences, right? We would have to post, just like when we do a virtual day or a weather day. The posting isn't an inconvenience, but we would have to put a posting saying, if you need to get hold of somebody, please email them or call and leave a voicemail, and one of us will get back to you. Because our people are very good at getting back. But if somebody wanted to come in and like just kind of drop by that day, the buildings wouldn't be open. So we do, like, we have a model for that when we have to call a day because of weather.
More or less like, say, mail, they would just have to do it the next
The
day.
mail, the newspaper that gets delivered here, they would just hold it and bring it the next day. Yeah. Now, for larger shipments, like if somebody needed to deliver something to the dock at the warehouse,
If you knew it
that
was
would still be
coming in.
open.
Yeah.
I just need to clarify again.
Sure.
So you said there's a $2,000 savings potentially each month?
They said it was about a 2,000, I think it was actually a little over 2,000 that they said if you were to do this monthly, and they just did Slatington, they said Slatington would be like $2,000 a month.
Okay, so that would just be for the Southland, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah,
we
wouldn't do
be
it.
looking at maybe $5,000 a year savings doing this?
Potentially.
Everybody has a school computer that they can use?
Yeah, everybody has their computer, their
How do we
charger.
regulate that work is actually being done at home? I know there are companies that actually can monitor that people are working.
So we don't have any like the eye tracking equipment or anything
So we
like that.
have
or-
no way of
or the
knowing
key
if
short-
someone's just.
Well,
taking the
we
day
know
off.
whether when we say,
Whether he's done or
show
not.
me
I'm
the
not
letter."
saying that
It's-
anyone would be doing this, but I
Yep.
just want to be the devil's advocate here and say,
And it's a really good question to ask, right?
in today's technology,
So we know when the people that supervise say, show me what you had, like, show me you had to get all this done. Is it done? And it's not done. As far as any of the high-tech tracking equipment, we don't have that.
and there's these
How many schools are currently in the valley?
I do not know the answer to that.
I think that'd be important to know.
What did you say?
How many other schools in Lehigh County are using this?
Yeah, good question.
I can find out for CLIU. Find out.
So I couldn't hear, what did you estimate the total savings would be?
I figured around 5,000 a year.
But you said it was $2,000 saving for just Slatington.
Right, but keep in mind, Slatington uses much more electricity than, say, the middle school.
So maybe 6,000.
Maybe, I don't even know that. I'm thinking
just
4 to 5.
Guessing.
Sure, but again,
A
that's
month or the
just.
entire,
A month.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's, again, just the energy savings. If we reduce our peak usage, then we get a better rate the following year on our electric.
everything.
Which could drop everything,
Correct.
that's every use all year long, a lot lower too.
Right.
Because again, remember, our electric is based on our peak usage. So we could have a week, or we'll say 5 days in the 40s, and all of a sudden one day we're peaking out at 98 degrees, that's our peak.
Did they give
So that's what
you-
we're being charged off
Right,
of.
did they give you a potential percentage of what you could save when you went to that meeting, conference? Sure.
There wasn't.
They didn't have like
say
a
there was-
number that,
no,
you
there
know, oh,
wasn't
this
a-
might save you, 3% off your bill
No.
or whatever.
I guess my concern would be what Tim alluded to earlier. It's like, I understand we're gonna shut off the air conditioning, but we're gonna ask these maintenance and custodial people to be in there working in that heat. I don't know how comfortable I am with that. And they're the guys who are doing, and girls, excuse me, who are doing the physical work to start with, and, you know, I don't know how comfortable that would be. And the second thing is, something in my mind, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but it seemed like there should be at least one person here in case there's some kind of emergency or something, that there's someone here who can respond. And I realize you make phone calls, you do emails, and it's almost instantaneous, but it just seemed like there should be one person here if there's some kind of an emergency. And you said, you know, like Chief Jones would be one of the people not here. It's like, you know, who's gonna step in and do this if there's nobody here to be, quote, in charge at the very moment?
Well, however, on the weekends.
I was gonna say, I'll shoot somebody on Saturday or Sunday.
So, play devil's advocate, there's nobody here on the weekends, so.
And when we do.
But we still have people here, we have stuff going on, is the only.
You still would though.
Right,
What's that?
don't,
You'd still be staffed like you would be the weekend.
don't we have extracurricular stuff that happens here during the summer? Like, isn't the campuses used for like NLYA and all that other?
So when we do our shutdown at night, they don't come into the buildings, they don't come in on a Friday.
Okay.
It would, the most direct impact would be if it's a day when we have a camp going on, do we want to shut it down? Like, right when those kids dismiss at 12:30 and we say, okay, everybody needs to be out, and we're doing all the setbacks at 1 o'clock, like 1 p.m. Or do we just want to say, you know, like that's not happening today? So we would need to come up with a plan for those events if this is something you want us to try this summer.
To be honest, I'm not in favor of it. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Well, won't maintenance have people here, don't we hire summer kids?
What will happen to those kids for their hours?
Well, they would be considered part of maintenance. So if the board would say move forward with this, they would continue to work with our maintenance staff and maintenance supervisor, like the custodial type of work. So that's the model we follow. When we do a weather closing, those people are still here.
Is it the average electricity, is it across all of our buildings, is it per building, is it, I guess if there's only 2 people in a building, why are we having a full building open? I guess would be my question, like, so if there's 2 people at Peters and 2 people at the middle school, why can't they go to another building that has more people and shut those buildings down?
We could do that, but then that means, to Mr. Green's point, that they're going to be shut down every day. Right, and this would be maybe 4 to 6 times a summer.
I'm just asking. I mean, if we're saying that they can work at home regularly at some pick a day, then why in the summer do they need to be in that place? I don't know. I'm just asking the general question. There might be a really good answer.
So again, the logic for that is when people do need to access those buildings, there's somebody there. If we were to do that now 5 days a week, I think that would be more of a hardship than if we were to do it once a month or twice a month.
Who would come to access the building? Just asking questions, honestly, like just trying to get understanding for it.
Sure.
I'm not saying I'm for or against
So-
any of this yet, but
So principals, who are some of the visitors that come in during the summer months that you interact with?
I can start at the lower levels. There's incoming kindergarten parents that want tours of the building and want to talk about, their child's induction into the school building. We have outside agencies, IU, Head Starts that don't spend a lot of time but do sort of visits. They do, like site inspections. I'm not sure what Chris is. Like site inspections just to make sure that, and they've got to sort of prepare for what they need to do for the school year. For most of the summer in the past, it's been myself and the secretary, but there's a lot of, again, custodial maintenance work that happens. All the rooms are cleaned. That's the whole summer process. We do have a camp that's scheduled there. I can't remember what it's called, but they were there as well last year, but it was a morning camp, so I think they're out by like 11:30, 12 o'clock each day. Mr. Mann can confirm like the specifics of that because that's arranged through him. You know, it's actually quite a quiet time in the summer. You know, there are times where people do show up.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a you know, it's a productive work day for us. I mean, we're working the whole time, but there's not a lot of like, you need to go and do this as an administrator. Again, the heavy lift in the summer is really the custodians and maintenance people who take everything out of every classroom, wipe it all down, do all the rugs, do all the surfaces, put everything back, put, you know, it's like strip the floors, wax the floors.
So if they're still in the building, they're still using electricity.
See?
So the biggest setback would be, again, lighting, right? So in the areas that are not working in the HVAC. It really comes down to the HVAC.
So is there a way, I don't know, just kind of going through devil's advocate here, how do we not shut down the air conditioning for the floor maintenance and the physical people who are doing work? Can we shift those hours and ask them to be earlier and work in the morning? Is there other options that are available than just saying, let's shut the building down?
Because what we're kind of
I'm
saying
just
is,
asking the question.
and not to be mean,
So they
but
do come
Yes.
in, they start at 5:30.
because we're pretty much saying, you guys need air conditioning, but our custodians
I
don't.
feel like we're gonna step into the boundary.
Yeah, that's where I'm feeling,
Now we have an
that's,
environmental issue going on. We don't get provided with air and we still have to work in these conditions, which they've already proposed to have, you know?
I think you're gonna end up treading down.
It wouldn't be just shut off completely. We would do a setback, which is what we do now. And that's what showed last year.
If you shut it off completely, it would cost a fortune to start it
Just
out.
start
That would be
it
like
back.
shutting down the heat in the winter.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have a problem.
It would go into a setback.
I'm not in favor.
I also think about a parent. If I was a parent, I went through Slayton Elementary or Peters to have a conversation with the principal, and I got there and I knocked on the door and there's a sign that says, oh, today's high energy day, we're closed. I think I would be a very angry parent. I don't know how I would react to that. Again, everybody else is doing and asking questions.
I do love that we're trying to save money, but I don't know that the savings is significant enough to create this little possible chaos.
And again, we don't know.
Correct, we don't know.
We can't give a definite number except for what they've given us. And again, the number they gave us is kind of known, but the reduction over the next year or two due to the lower peak is unknown. We don't know what we can lower our peak down to.
You know, what is it, 1%, you know, like, we don't know, you know? I don't know if it's worth going through that.
Trying.
I don't know. I'm just one person though. We still have all these others.
Is the savings really overall worth the total change to logistics of things? And I also feel that in the custodial staff, we may have grievances.
Sure.
And that may cost us even more because now we have to put the days back on the schedule and pay for the grievance, you know. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential problems with doing that. That's my feeling. And again, I don't know what the other school districts do. It'd be interesting to see what other school districts are following through. But I don't.
If other school districts are doing it, you know, maybe can we find out what are they saving? You know, is this something that down the road we look at? Oh, this isn't a good saving. This is a significant amount. Then maybe we can consider it in the following year. You know, like I think we need more information.
I need more information
before
I make a decision. Yeah, that's the way I feel.
I don't want to do a trial and error on it, and then it opens this can of worms of chaos. That's my fear of it.
I appreciate the fact that you were looking for a way to save. This just may not be the way to do it, but the fact that you actually were looking for different options is great. I think we just need more information.
Also, I don't see where those savings reflecting in our budget, which would definitely change our budget, I understand. But the taxpayer would see our staff not working.
Right, then they're gonna be like, oh, they're not even in the building, and
Right.
we're
I mean,
still.
I think there's a lot of potential problems with that situation.
I don't know if we're still in 5 days,
I'm not in favor, I don't think faculty is, I don't know about other people, but,
Okay, well, appreciate the feedback. We'll try to get some of the answers to the questions that you asked. We do appreciate the feedback and the opportunity to share the idea.
Have we looked at alternative suppliers?
I think they do that.
Okay, because I don't know if this is from PPL or if it's from the alternatives or
No, so a private entity is
a private
source,
constellation.
where they're supplying, again, school districts.
Okay.
And you guys are still like, looking at other suppliers to see who gives you the best rate? And-
Correct.
Yeah.
Well,
You
Provident
shop around.
Provident does that
Yeah,
for
right.
us. Yep.
Provident does it.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm learning.
Okay, thank you. And then the next slide is the questions and comments. Right, well, more so with that one particular topic.
I do have a question. The 1,154,000 that we are short. The furniture replacements, we've kicked that can down the road for a while. We have that on our budget every year. We have not replaced furniture.
Well, we have.
Well, yes, we have, but what's there? I think it's, what, $500,000?
It's $100,000.
It's $100,000 for next year.
For next year? Just 100,000?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, because I see, I see, never mind, because some of it's in 2028, okay.
Yep.
All right, I'm okay with that.
And honestly, if you cut that, you're not cutting the short of the 1.154.
Right.
Because I have the fund balance is
I was
the
looking
offset
at it
revenue.
from, not seeing the dates and thinking $500,000 could, potentially, we could take that out. So my next question is, what are the things we have added that we could look at and say, do we necessarily need to do that this year? Because I haven't really seen that, except for the hiring of the business teacher, which we really kind of need to have. So
That's a good question.
I don't know where we can cut any areas in this budget. I don't see anything.
So the building budgets are unchanged
Mm-hmm.
from last year. There's the addition of one new employee, recommended addition of one new employee. You take that aside, and the driving costs are really contractual increases, healthcare and benefits, and PSERS.
Right, which we can't change. We can't cut that out of the budget.
yeah, that's $500,000.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, and everything else is being used for capital from the CR and fund balance.
Right.
So,
The one-time purchases of fund balance from Jesus.
so really, we're only saying that, oh, well, we just don't use so much out of fund balance or capital reserve, whatever. There's no cuts to be made, is what I'm kind of saying, unless you look at other areas within each budget and say, where can we make cuts? Where can we, but with the cost of everything going up, I don't think there is areas. I mean, I'm just trying to look at this in the big picture, and I'm feeling like we are already that much in deficit. Where are we gonna be next year? Where are we going to be? I mean, I see Whitehall having to furlough and still raise taxes. That's where they've gotten themselves into. So I'm a little concerned as to where we are and where we're going to.
So, unfortunately, across the area, across the state, districts are, you're eliminating positions or you're eliminating entire programs. So yes, locally, there are more than 1 or 2 districts that are furloughing staff this upcoming year. Some of them 1 or 2, some of them 30 or more. We're not recommending that this year. I can't say that we're going to get to a time where our fund balance is going to be so extreme that we're not going to have those conversations and make those decisions. I don't know that Northern Lehigh needs to this year decide, are we gonna furlough faculty
Right.
or support staff or administration?
I think we have a healthy fund balance right now that we shouldn't have to do that. I feel like, I mean, we were several years ago already at like 10 mil and surviving. I'm assuming I wasn't a board member at that time, but we even got down into 9.5 and still survived. Raising taxes minimally. I mean, I saw 3.5, you know, so I know we're proposing this 4.8, which I know that people in the area aren't gonna like that. I myself don't like it, but, you know.
It's the cost of everything else.
Yeah, I mean, everything is going up, everything, and, you know, to go up to 4.8 on taxes is gonna be you know, it's gonna be challenging for people, you know? So, just my thoughts.
And you make a good point, Natalie, if you don't fill that capital reserve bucket with something, that's gonna go dry in a hurry, and now you have nowhere to go to cover any of those expenses. And now you're gonna be faced with some very, very hard decisions.
And we have a lot of items on our study that was done that are gonna need to be done down the road, you know? I mean, you see those red items that we talk about all the time. We're gonna need to do it at some point. You know, we've got, every year we've got salary increases, we got benefit increases, this, that, you know, like where does it end? I don't know. Just my thoughts.
Anybody else have any feedback or administration? So when do we have to vote on the tax increase or the budget?
The June school board.
The June, that's when So
We will have discussions at May possibly, but it's in June. We have to pass it.
Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say about the budget currently?
My concern is if we're still, for 4.8, we're still 1.2 million in the hole. Next year, it's gonna be, okay, we're gonna have to do the max again and put us back in the hole. We're continuing this trend, and we've been doing it for decades where we raise taxes, but still, and even if we max it out this time, we're still gonna be 1.2 million in the hole. Where's that 1.2 million coming from? It's coming from the capital, it's coming from the fund balance. So obviously, we're not doing ourselves any favors if we don't try to cut something down. Because if we don't, next year we're gonna be in the same exact predicament.
But I think as Natalie said, where do we cut?
What do we cut first?
Where do we
That's the
cut? I
question,
mean,
is where can we make the cuts to really get ourselves back into a more balanced budget, you know? I mean, we did take on some things during COVID, and we are trying to make that work, you know, and I think it's beneficial. We're really trying to revamp our curriculum, which is necessary. I mean, as we have all been made aware, our curriculum hasn't been revised for how many years, you know, so our kids were falling behind. I mean, clearly my own children, I saw them fall behind because they went to college and they weren't where they needed to be, you know, they were seeing other districts, kids coming from other districts that were way farther ahead. So I'm fortunate that we are able to do this and make some major changes to the curriculum. But at what point are we going to say, okay, we have, I know we've been told it's a slow process, but at some point, where do we say, okay, we've done it? Just trying to get the truth of the matter out.
So, of course, administration's open to administrations on who would like to see cuts. I am curious to hear what the school boards have to say, where they would like those to begin. I'm happy to have that conversation this evening. We can talk about positions, we can talk about programs, extracurriculars, athletics, teaching positions, administrative positions, support staff positions. Yeah, I mean, so this is, we need some direction on which way you want us to go.
I would like to, if this happened in my own home, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to meet my expenses, I would look in my house, what do I have to get rid of, even though it's going to make me uncomfortable? And I would like to know, as a board member, if we needed to get rid of that shortfall, what would administration suggest prioritizing that we at least consider cutting?
So we can bring that. But again, I'm also looking for feedback on what the board would like, what the board's priorities are to keep or to remove. So we can absolutely bring back recommendations as to remove from the budget expenditures.
I think it needs to be a two-way street. I don't think it's fair for administration to just say, well, here's what we are, it's up to the board to come up with cuts. I think it has to be a two-way street. Maybe the board makes a recommendation, but we also need to hear from you guys who are here every day of the week, where you could possibly see some cuts. We have to work together on this. And you can't make it a one-way street where it's like, it's all the board's fault that we cut football or whatever. We need to work together on it. So I think, as he was saying, I would like to hear some recommendations also on what you might recommend or what the administration might recommend if you want to cut things back also. And see where the board stands with it. You know.
Absolutely. Yes, which is what I'm trying to say. We can come with that, but I would also like to see some receive some recommendations for priorities by the school board as well.
We were sent a line item, right?
Yes.
I think maybe the school board, we need to look at the line items and see where, things, maybe potentially we need to look at that.
It looks like, from what we've seen so far, that there's a smaller kindergarten class. Are we looking at attrition from that? Making, smaller classes or bigger classes, less faculty, less, not that I want to see that, but I'm just.
So whenever we have an opportunity to look at attrition, we look at that every single time, whether we need to continue that position or not.
Because I've lost lots of classes because I don't have enough enrollment in them.
Right. So whenever somebody resigns or leaves or retires, we always look at that position to say, do we want to bring it back or continue it or not? That's been, past practice.
And to your credit, you said, okay, so-and-so's leaving from high school, we would like to replace that with a middle school person. And you've done that over the years, and I understand and appreciate that.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
I do too.
I think one of the reasons why I like to hear from administration, their prioritized list of what we could cut is better state regulations, state laws, federal laws, what it is we can't cut, what we can't cut, like special ed. I mean, there's certain things you just cannot cut. You cannot get rid of.
Sure.
And don't we have positions we didn't fill this year that have been empty most of the year?
We have some para-educator positions that are unfilled. And what we're doing now is piecemealing how we get those needs met. I believe they're in, both of them are in special education department.
There's a substitute in every day because I can't find a permanent person to take it that she retired previously and is allowed to come back only because I can't fill it.
So we've had a sub in all year pretty much?
Yeah.
And how much is that costing us?
Less than the para.
Less than a para.
Oh, less than?
Oh, yeah, because the para is, the sub is $10.75 or $11.75 an
I
hour.
thought they were more, like,
Yeah.
more.
Do they get benefits?
No.
Benefits are big savings.
I don't get any benefits.
And open enrollment just started today, so I don't even know where that's gonna all shake out with people opting out versus people jumping back on, so. They have till May 20th.
Did we hire an additional kindergarten teacher a couple years ago? But I think we did that because we needed it to kind of flow through, so.
And that person is
floats
up each year with that class.
That was the idea.
And that salary is offset by Title II for
Right,
classroom
yeah,
reduction.
I remember that too. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get in trouble down the road if we don't start looking at stuff.
Maybe from the catch-22.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll bring recommendations back to the board. I'll try to have that ready to go for Monday. And if you have any ideas that you would like us to share, please send them to us this week as well, and we'll explore those.
Thank you.
Thank you for the conversation, we appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else have anything for finance?
Seeing none, I will close finance and turn it over to Crystal for extra and co-curricular.
We'll open extra and co-curricular meeting. Not sure.
Bulldog Games is the first thing on the board. So I'm excited, we're going to our 5th Bulldog Games. It will be May 20th between 10 and 1 o'clock. This year we've added some activities, all with Mrs. DeHart has headed this year and part of last year. And this year she went out to the community on her social media platform and actually asked for donations for some things. And we have received pretty much everything that she has put out there. So we have a water table coming, we have a large parachute coming, the big one, maybe we'll ask Mr. Link to come and do, we did like a dunk tank, but the version is, it is a PVC pipe with a big bucket with ping pong balls that dumps.
That's nice.
So, no water, so.
I like that, no water.
Yeah, so everybody's pretty excited about that. We have volunteers coming from past years that are all excited to come back and volunteer that day. So please come out and see us. The Times News will be there as well. Any questions about Bulldog Games?
No, the drone thing is getting out in the community.
Oh, for the America 250?
Yeah, for the America 250, so the drone thing, I know that's coming up here in the next thing, but yeah, that's getting out and around.
Okay, so the next topic actually is the America 250 celebration. We're looking to kind of finalize plans for all the logistics of this Wednesday night. I'll be attending the last committee planning meeting for that. So again, it's May 9th, Bulldog Stadium, 2 to 9 p.m. And we say 9, I think approximately 9 p.m. because the drone show is slated to start like right as sunset occurs. They said expected for it to be like probably about 12 minutes or so. And that will conclude the day. Concession stands will be open, and you'll see some of the list of clubs that we're going to have there as well, and internal student groups that are participating in the event. And then, of course, there's going to be a number of external groups coming in, historical displays, some talks, 2 different bands playing, our choir will be there. So a lot going on in the day. We are tracking the weather. Looks like it could be a chance of some rain that day, but fading as it goes into the evening hours. We're going to do everything we can to be able to do it outside. Because we do have to go inside, it's going to have to be significantly scaled back from what's going on now. So again, we're looking to finalize all those logistics later Wednesday evening as the last meeting. And it looks like, let's see, Dr. Rush Wallace has entered some stuff here. If you would like to speak to this, please.
So softball, Violets Lake, we had our last regular
season game today. They beat Lehigh 11-1. So now they're 12-7 for regular season. They finished regular season tomorrow against Palmerton at Palmerton. They qualified for league and district playoffs. And a little highlight here for one of our students, Addie Smith, pitched a no-hitter. She reached her 200th strikeout, and she was named Lehigh Valley Player of the Week. So there's a photo of her and the team there. She was at the count. And then another one, sorry, that should say Kylie Snyder, not Kylie. Kylie Snyder had reached her 100th career hit, and it was a walk-off home run the other day, so that was also exciting to share. Continuing with good news, baseball is now at 10-9, and this is the first time since 2010 that the win column has been 10 or more wins, so kudos to them, and they've also qualified for league and district playoffs. Track will be sending some athletes, and they start actually tomorrow and Wednesday, followed by districts next week. And that's everything for us.
Okay, also this evening, Mrs. Billy asked that we bring back the discussion on summer usage for baseball and softball fields. As you may recall, administration's recommendation is that we do not allow summer usage this summer. We go through our first full summer of the fields to make sure that we're comfortable with maintaining them, equipping them, giving them another full kind of growth season for the summer. Knowing that we're going to need to be bringing in the irrigation, the watering again this summer, and fertilizing, and then considering it again for the following summer. But you know, bring this back to this committee for additional discussion.
I think the reason why we're bringing it to is because we have learned that a lot of the kids from the district are a part of these programs that it's like feeder programs. So we're basically denying these feeder programs use of our fields, and the parents live in the district, have helped pay for these new fields, and are going to feel like, oh, our taxpayer dollars were put there out there and we can't even use the fields for this year.
So our fields can only be used by PIAA or higher. So your midget, your biddy, your knee high, they can't play on our fields because our fields have a mound. So your little league teams can't play on our fields.
What about Connie Max and all that?
Connie Mac has to use.
So Connie Mac is the only, Connie Mac Legion would be a team that could use
Those would be the
a
ones.
mound. Right.
Okay, so those are part of our kids that are in the district. Most of them, a good percentage.
Qualify what you mean by feeder.
Those kids then usually will go into the high school programs.
They play in the high school program, so they basically are playing in the Connie Max, but they're also playing for the district too. And when they're not being allowed to use the fields, it's kind of like, oh, well, we just can't use them.
So the district doesn't have a Connie Mac program. So if we do that, if that's the will of the board, then we're going to have to look to see where they fall in on the policy for summer usage, or facility usage rather, you know, which we can do, and we would just see where they would fall into that program as well.
My understanding is that they have been able to use the fields in the past. So it's like now they're being told, you know, just because they're new fields, they can't this year.
They used it to supplement when Northwestern couldn't. So in the past, they would be here maybe a week at the most, and then they would go to Northwestern, and then they would play and practice at Northwestern. We did not house a Connie Mac or a Legion team here in, I couldn't even tell you how long. It's always been Northern Valley who always housed the team.
Right.
So Northern Lehigh hasn't had a Connie Mac or Legion in quite a while. And again,
I understand it's a combined team, correct?
Correct.
From Northwestern and us. And they play out there even though most of our, from what I understand, 70% of the kids are from Northern Lehigh. They're Northern Lehigh kids that play on that team.
I couldn't give you number-wise. Sure. I couldn't give you number-wise. Sure. And again, we're not saying this is going to be going on forever.
Right.
We just want to make sure that our field is ready going forward.
Right.
I would hate to damage that field now, and now next year we're already behind the 8 ball.
We're already using the fields now, though, right?
Correct.
I mean,
yes.
and also continued use of the fields throughout the summer can help inhibit like the growth of grass and things on the sand, and like, because if we let it go dormant, then we're potentially, the weeds are going to start coming through.
But then it's too cold. So now, okay, we may not have infield growth in dirt, which is normally what they call goose grass, which dies off over the winter anyway. But now you're going to be on the grass during the hottest part of the season when we should be watering it and giving it time to regrow. Now you're going to have people running on it and stuff like that. So I mean, there's pros and cons either way.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons either way.
Who's going to stop somebody from coming up and using the field for fun?
Everything's locked. Everything's supposed to be locked.
I'm not sure who wants to use the field. You said, quote, little kids can't use it because of the pitcher's mound and the distances and, you know, the 60 as opposed to 90 and all that other stuff. So they can't use it. We don't have a Legion program in Northern Lehigh. We don't have Connie Mack in Northern Lehigh. So
We
those are the
do,
older
it's just a
kids.
shared program.
Right.
It's a shared program,
Right.
right, but we don't have specifically
We don't have our
one
own
here.
specific.
Those students have an opportunity to play in the Northern Valley who practices plays at Northwestern. So we wouldn't pull that away from Northwestern and bring it in here. That would still stay out there in my opinion, a probability. So I guess I'm still not sure who all the kids are who would be
They
playing.
want
70% of the kids that are in that Connie Mack are Northern Lehigh students.
Right, they
Okay,
want to
I-
split it between the two schools.
Right, so that they have Western youth and Northern Lehigh.
Correct.
Because they are Northern Lehigh students. A majority of them are Northern Lehigh.
So am I hearing that Northern Lehigh wants to start their own independent? Is that what you're saying?
No.
There's not enough to do, but they want to share it between the two schools.
Like a 50-50 ratio? Is that
Correct.
what you're
They would like to
proposing?
do
What they're
more,
proposing?
yeah, because they can't, they've already started their program now, so I don't know what the usage would be now because they've already acquired fields for their use. They had to go outside when they couldn't use Northern Lehigh, or Northwestern fields. So they had to get other fields to be available. We just wanted them to have the ability to use our field.
Is Northwestern no longer allowing them?
No, they don't play all of them there. From what I understand, there's another field that offered up to their program, and we just wondered why they use our fields.
So the logic is just like Mr. Mann and I just explained. If the committee wants to open it up, then we'll just default to the policy.
Do you know the timeframe, like what they're looking for? Is it just 1 month or?
I can get more information, but I don't.
I think it was July.
Yeah, I think it was the month of July.
Are the fields leased to them or just given for use free?
We'd have to go back and really
Right, I don't know if
sit
they are
and
on a-
have a conversation with absolutely define this program.
Like, are they a
Right now-
fee schedule one or?
Right now, I'm hearing, right now it seems like they would have to pay a fee, just like any other outside
Then
organization.
that would help with maintenance if it was needed.
Well, my logic is.
No, I'm not saying just.
Put so much money into these fields, and we're at a point in which we need to let them rest, if I can use that terminology, to be able to build up turf or whatever else we need to do. That bringing students in to play now could damage that and would put us back a heck of a lot further. Is there any reason why, and since this is already, what I'm hearing is this, the plans are already in place, what do we have to do it this year? Can we start looking at a future year to do this, to do the jointure or whatever?
But as
else?
they're
Okay,
saying, if their logic is, it's the heat of the summer and the grass is gonna be a problem. It's gonna be the heat of the summer next year. Is the grass still gonna be a problem then?
Well, I don't know, because I would have to say, depending on how the grass has grown in the first year. I mean, I know I'm just planting grass too, and I know the problems with those kinds of issues.
Well, I think the request was the first year to give it a chance to establish. And
That's why I'm saying, can we wait another year for this? I mean, is this something we need to deal with this year? And let, as I said, let our fields rest a little bit, let them grow, let the grass grow and secure itself into a better sod. Or sand if those areas
What's
are.
that song?
I agree with Gary. I think there are other options available, and I would be willing to take a look at it certainly next year and look at our policy. I'm not real comfortable doing this year because there are other options. If there were nothing else available, I would consider certainly letting them play them. But I think it's the way we've been doing it for a while, and I'm comfortable staying that way at least for this year. So.
I agree.
I do as well.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
it's just the same answer we had 3 other meetings that we talked about it. So at the end of the day, I want to be respectful of what the administration's asking for, is to allow time to learn the new fields. And if we feel that giving it 1 extra summer, and then next year is when we really talk about allowing these groups to come on, I don't think I've heard from administration that the answer was ever no, it's just not yet. And I think the not yet was, let's talk about it, we'll plan it for the what year are we in, 27 summer. So I know we want to support and use these fields, which is what we want to have happen. I think that's great. Sometimes good things take a little bit of time, and we have to make sure we have the right process in place to be able to follow it. On this one, I'm going to say what administration would say is what I would go with on this one.
So I'll look to our committee chair.
I guess if that's, I mean, we can't take a vote, correct, to where, how to go move forward on it.
So typically here, we look for direction from the committee. A vote cannot happen here, it would have to be at the Monday board meeting.
Okay. And I don't think we have enough to move it forward, so.
So it's dead in the water right now.
What is it?
It's dead in the water.
I would think so, yeah. No pun intended.
We tried.
Okay, so again, I appreciate the conversation, I appreciate the direction from the committee. And we'll continue to keep our eye towards the summer of 2027 for usage in the summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other things for the extra and co-curricular? Hearing none, I will return.
Thank you.
I guess we're all finished here, so we are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.